promising to restore
2030
Good.
after the...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, a very good morning to you. Just gone 6 o'clock. It's Monday. Hurrah! Much misery in this building. There's only one thing I want you to think about today, however bad it gets, with Andy Burnham acceding to the most powerful job without a mandate from the British people. The Argies got beaten. That's the only thing I've taken from the World Cup final. If, like me, you didn't watch it because you didn't give a toss. And let's just have it. England beat the world champions 6-4 on Saturday. Shame they couldn't have done that on Wednesday when I thought Saka wasn't fit. Unbelievable. Cannot be having it. Don't really work. We'll have Harry Roundup on. We'll talk about it. But, yeah, those dirty Argentinians. See, they're fighting after the final whistle. I think the Argentinian players who play in the Premier League might get a load of gyp next season. That's just my opinion. But 3 minutes past 6. Welcome to the home of common sense and welcome to the place where your views on the day's news are always, always welcome. Charlotte has taken your calls. 0344 499 1000. You know that number is the number you need as well for any voice note. Christian, what is it? What have I got? Oh, no, that's so good. Packet of biscuits for the first voice note today. They're vegan biscuits. I don't know why they are. It's something to do with my guts. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. So it is, of course, there's only one story in town, my friends, today. The man with no mandate from British people, the King of the North, Andy Burnham, has arrived in London on his penny farthing. He's only going to wear, this is brilliant, I'm not going to wear a shirt or tie as Prime Minister unless I'm in the Commons. So as he's not in the Commons today and he's going to Buckingham Palace, do you think he's going to turn up in a black T-shirt to be given the seals of office by the King? He says, I need 10 years. It's all about hope. I'm going to be the king of the East, the South, the West and the North. We have full coverage throughout the day. Peter Cardwell, who used to be our political editor, but now is a presenter, he will be in Downing Street. He's that important, Peter Cardwell. He's got a pitch in Downing Street, which is lovely. Samara Gill, Talk's roving reporter, will be outside the gates of Buckingham Palace. If they've asked me, I'd have got her in the gates, but there we go. What do we know? Well, it's a sort of coming and going. Starmer goes, he arrives, then he makes a speech about 1 o'clock. We then suspect he will spend the afternoon picking his cabinet. Nobody any idea. I think there's a few things that will definitely happen. I think Rachel Reeves's political career is probably over. There'll be more tears there. Interestingly, over the weekend, he already started unpicking... it says here Starmer's legacy. I don't think Starmer's got a legacy. He's ditched controversial plans for digital ID, but the big argument this morning, which is brilliant, all over the front of the Sun, he hasn't even arrived, and we have turmoil. See what he did? Turmoil, yeah. North Sea oil. We all know we should be drilling our natural resource. Donald Trump's weighed in over the weekend. You better start drilling. OK, Donald. And we believed that Burnham intimated that he would. But Lucy Powell, the Deputy Prime Minister, said over the weekend, no, we're not doing that, we're sticking to the manifesto, and we're going to spend more on foreign aid. So that's a great start. Everybody's jumping up and down. It's going to be an interesting day. Do you remember when Starmer resigned and that bloke with the bloody megaphone was... rah, rah, rah. They've banned it today, but they didn't ban it for Starmer. 0344 499 1000. It's all about refreshing, renewing, changing... but not changing, because if you change against the manifesto, the British people... there's a poll out, actually, which says those of the South don't believe that he is the person that they want. It's a big day for Andy Burnham and his family. And, of course, as I said, don't cry for me, Argentina. Yes, I'm going to cry. I am going to cry. Not. Let's say a very good morning to a woman who has manfully... that didn't sound right. Womanly... dragged herself in. She's not feeling well, but she's so dedicated to the show. Poppy Coburn, good morning. What is wrong?
Good morning. I just don't feel well, that's all.
Is there anything I can do?
No, not at all.
What about a wee dram?
I don't think that would make me feel any better.
Is it actually what's called one of those illnesses that comes about because you feel sick to the stomach? Is it the thought of King up North becoming Prime Minister
Yeah,
today?
I mean, it's a good timing for Andy Burnham becoming Prime Minister, isn't it? I mean, I remember watching on last Friday him giving that stupid speech to the crowd of Labour supporters and just thinking, we're going to have 6 weeks of this before he screws up inevitably, which he will, and then everyone who's currently smiling and clapping him on the front bench will be saying how much they hate him and how he's a terrible Prime Minister.
Do you think it'll unfold that? Because I genuinely think it will fall on its arse really, really quickly.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's loads of reasons why it will. I mean, firstly, there's the geopolitical situation, which, to be fair to him, is out of his control. I mean, people will not be happy with the Prime Minister that is imposing high taxes, that can't make your quality of life better, can't do anything about the cost of living, which he can't do. I mean, he's already kind of showing us who he is. You know, he's obviously just announced that we're going to go back to spending 0.7% of GDP on foreign aid again.
Brilliant, brilliant. Let's spend more on foreign aid and screw the British people. What is wrong with these people?
But like, fine, OK, maybe you can do that in the early 2000s when we have loads of money, but we don't anymore.
Yeah.
So when you're imposing higher taxes on people and you're saying, I'm not going to do any cuts towards welfare because that will upset my voter base, and at the same time you're saying we can afford to give money to countries like Pakistan that are currently refusing to take back child rapists, then people do turn around and say, OK, this is the same old Labour Party.
Do you think that anybody... I mean, I know it's his first day, and apparently he's at a homeless shelter as we speak. The whole day's been choreographed. Do you think that anybody ever tells any of these politicians, it's not a good look, mate? Alarm clock Brits are out there working and paying tax, and you are saying we're going to raise your taxes, we're going to make it difficult for you to ever have anything in life, but we're going to give away more for foreign aid. We can forget immigration. Let's talk about foreign aid. That's ridiculous. I remember... I'm going to say during the austerity cuts, but maybe later on, there are 33 government departments, and I read a stat that made me absolutely want to cry, and it intimated that the only department that didn't get cut was international foreign aid, and in fact it got increased. Why did we put preference over people in other countries rather than the people in our own country?
I mean, it was one of the few things that Keir Starmer did that was actually quite sensible. I mean, yeah, but it's true, it's true. Like, you know, he obviously, Lord Homer is a very good friend of his, he's a human rights lawyer, he clearly didn't want to do this, but he did it. He did say he was going to cut foreign aid and put that money into defence spending. And all the arguments were then deployed about the importance of foreign aid, and I heard all of them, and they were absolutely weak, because they talked about something called soft power, which, like, look at the world around you right now. Who is currently dominating the world? China and America.
Yep.
Why are they dominating the world? Because they have hard power. They can ruin your economy because they have, like, in the Americans' case, they have the global backing currency, which is the dollar. In China's case, they manufacture everything, so they can threaten to pull out of everything and not let you use their exports. They both have massive militaries and not afraid to throw their weight around. Who cares about Britain?
I completely agree. Can I just say, I don't usually slag off the mainstream media, but it's a studio that I know rather well. I'm not asking you to tune in, but I've got several screens in the studio. And Good Morning Britain. I've never seen Ed Balls, who is a presenter there, which tells you everything now about that. Ed Balls looks as happy as Larry this morning because he's good old mate Andy Burnham. But you mentioned something that I want to pick up upon. I want to sort of take a moment because at the weekend, Keir Starmer, here's my question. How long will it be before people ring in and go, we hated Keir Starmer, but he actually wasn't that bad compared to this new bloke. But Keir Starmer posted this farewell message, and I want us all to join hands and feel for this man, OK? This is Keir saying goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.
The first thing we've got to do is to unite our party. And how proud would you be when the history books were written and you said, I was part of that?
I am so proud that we leave the country in a much better state than we found it 2 years ago. On the economy, on public services, on protection for children, on defence and security, and on our international reputation in particular. That's the test for any Prime Minister. Do you leave your country in a better place than you found it? And that test and that answer is a yes.
Breakfast clubs. Is it better off than when he came in?
No, of course it's not. I mean, that's the weird thing is that I've already forgotten what his nasal voice sounds like. He hasn't even left office yet. And
right. Well, listen, Andy Burnham.
It out.
Well, you'll love this because it started already. Andy Burnham is being compared to David Brent. Were you a fan of The Office?
You know what? I was actually watching The Office over the weekend.
This will make you feel happier and better this morning, ladies and gentlemen. The first of many. Andy Burnham is David Brent.
In Makerfield, Orrell, Winstanley, Hindley, Blackbridge,
Reading, Aldershot, Bracknell. You know, I've got a Didcot, Yateley, I can play guitar. I can play guitar at a reasonably good level.
Oh, David, you know, you're a brilliant singer-songwriter.
I got some hot love on the hot love highway.
I left the north again. I travelled south again. There's a bit of a Smiths lyric there for you. But
Money don't make my world go round. I'm reaching out to a higher ground.
Was that a philosopher?
Desiree.
The singer?
all our affiliated trade unions.
There's only 7 on the board, isn't
Yes.
there? So it's 5 out of 7.
Now,
379 of our MPs.
You don't need luck when you've got 71.4% of the population behind you.
It's brilliant. Honestly, I'm just going to start, isn't it? Are we being unfair? Should we say, come on, Andy, here's your chance. Front page of the Times. It is apparently an exclusive, and it says, my 10-year plan. He pledges to reduce the cost of living. He's set to become Prime Minister. He says his father's got dementia, so he actually doesn't know that he's got that. He says that he's going to offer the British people tangible improvements to help with the cost of living, and he's going to change this land for the better. They all say that, though, don't they?
Yeah, of course they do. Well, the problem is when you say you have a plan and then you just say what you want to happen, that's not a plan. You know, I can turn around and say I have a plan to be a billionaire. I really want to be a billionaire next year. And then people just feel like, OK, so what's your plan? Oh, that's my plan. It's just that I want to be a billionaire.
Not
so
going to tell us how you're going to get there.
He wants to bring the economy down. He wants to bring tangible improvements. Here's why Labour will never understand this thing. He wants to offer people help. That's not what government exists to do, because, frankly, you can't help everyone in this country with handouts. We can see that because the tax base is getting smaller and smaller. So you can't actually help people just by moving more money around, by taxing more and then giving it to more people.
Don't you have to help them? Don't you have to build an economy that helps them be successful?
That is the basic building blocks of any economy in any successful country in the world. Again,
shocking.
I refer back to China and America. What do these two countries do? They both have thriving economies because they both make things. They have cutting-edge companies. They have cutting-edge technological development.
That's why I supported Brexit when it happened, because I thought that we would go into ourselves and make things and be successful and sell them across the world. That's exactly what I believed would happen, and the opposite has happened.
Well, he also says that, he said this on Friday, that he wants to roll back the last 40 years of neoliberalism, take us back to, the high-growth days of the 1970s.
Well, you weren't born. I remember what was going on. Every union got 30%. Nobody was at work. Everybody was on strike. They were holding the government to bloody hostage.
But this is really important. It's really revealing. In the 1970s, inequality in this country was at its lowest level. Do you think that that's a good sign that inequality is the best metric you should use?
Well,
no, because everyone's equally poor.
I agree. No, Andy Burnham, he set out he became Labour leader on Friday. We weren't on air, and he set out his vision. And for people who think I'm being cynical, have a listen. This is your new Prime Minister in about 7 hours, and this is what he's going to do, ish. Have a watch.
As your leader, I will set a direction that is distinctively Labour. We won't try to out-green the Greens or out-reform reform, or doing what we've done in the past of wearing too many Tory clothes. Let me tell you, I'm quite happy that Kemi doesn't approve of my wardrobe choices, because I'm not keen on theirs either. From here, we do it differently.
Do you know what always amazes me? And I know I do this for a living, right? It's a complete irrelevant point. How bad are so many people who make it to the top job at even bloody speaking in public? There was a sort of slight ironic sort of joke there about Kemi's clothes, read the line, pause, rubbish. Anyway, there you go. Listen, it's only 6:15 on a Monday, the day that Andy Burnham becomes the Prime Minister, and angry Rob is angry already.
Morning, Jez. Rob, on my way to work. Burnham, the man who would be king today, rocks up as the PM. The man who's got no mandate. The man who won't face a question. The man who is about as false as his eyebrows. He won't stick to nothing. The only thing he's going to do is do exactly the same as Keir Starmer, but he'll set fire to it, put a cherry on top, and then launch it off a cliff, because the bloke is an out-and-out Marxist idiot. In other news, Argentina. Never mind, you lost the World Cup, you lost the rugby, and guess what? The Falklands are still ours. Get it up, ya!
Pops, we did win the rugby against Argentina. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
They got upset about that. Morning, Jeremy. Morning, Poppy. Hope you feel better. Good news. England beat Argentina in the rugby. As for Burnham, no cabinet, no mandate, no clue, no money, more giveaways, more tax. The country is being run by morons, says Guy in Scotland. Good morning. Roger in Wales. It could possibly be Christian's dad. I've just realised why Labour are so far out of touch. They only watch the BBC and think the people are behind their policies. Maybe Burnham needs to watch Talk and realise people think differently. Oh, no, they wouldn't watch this with that disgraced television presenter and all those righties. Oh, no, we can't do with that. That'd be far too near the truth. Margaret in Birmingham. JK and Pops, are you ready? T-shirt Andy Burnham is. He still has hope in his heart. When you get to number 10, Andy, don't forget your dancing shoes. She's not happy. Cliff's in Berkshire. Morning, Cliffy. Perhaps all the money spent on locking up foreign criminals and housing the dingy people should be counted as foreign aid. That's an interesting point, isn't it?
Well, if that were the case, then we've got the highest foreign aid spending budget in the entire world.
Bill's in Romsey. Morning, Bill. The politics of this country reminds me of the show called Dallas. Cliff Barnes is Burnham, Swelling is Greta Kemi, and JR is Nigel Farage. You wouldn't have watched
Not a
it.
clue.
Have you not watched Dallas?
No.
Swellens are drunk. Come on, please tell me you know Dallas, the programme.
I'm like vaguely aware of
Oh,
it.
mate, it was amazing. It was about the Ewing oil family, and JR was the prodigal son. He was horrible, and his wife was an alcoholic, and he was sleeping around, and and Cliff was Bobby was his son, Bobby. And Bobby, Bobby left the series, and then 10 years later he came back because he'd had a dream, and he wasn't dead. It was all because he'd just got into the show. Oh, it was amazing. Jez, we need a general election, says Christina. You couldn't be right. Jez, Jason from Bristol, so they can find billions of pounds more foreign aid, but they can't find enough money for defence. But that's your point, isn't it? Good morning, Jez. What about the rugby? England beat Argentina, says Paul in Dorset. We know that. 0344 499 1000. They're not happy, you know. Morning, George.
Morning, Jeremy. Hope you have a good show. George from Leicester. I think Andy Pandy's going to turn up to the King in his blue and white pyjamas. Have a good one.
Andy Pandy. Do you know who Andy Pandy is?
Is this in the Night Garden?
Oh, my God, no!
No, that
in
one.
the Night
Is
Garden. Andy Pandy. Oh, how old are you?
I'm 26.
What do you remember Breaking Bad?
Like, vaguely.
What do you do, woman?
I don't watch it. Like,
do you not watch television?
I mean,
do you read
old.
a lot?
Yeah, I read loads.
What do you read?
I've just finished Daniel Deroner.
See, that's fair. Now, this will really make you leave today thinking that Kyle is a heathen. I've only read 3 books in the last 20 years, and I always read the last page first, because if it's an unhappy ending, I don't want to read the book.
The Bible.
Yes, Bible done. Oh, drop my tea.
He comes back at the end.
Yeah. Well, I got sacked from a radio station. Christian loved this. I got suspended because it was. Do you remember Titanic, the film? Are you young?
Yeah. I remember Titanic. Yeah.
So we're doing a whole big competition. It's a big giveaway. And I went on her and I went, if you haven't seen it, he dies in the end. Sorry. They have sex in a car on a boat, and then he dies in the water. It's very sad.
And they suspended you over that.
For really.
Don't tell them what happens at the end of the Odyssey then.
Of the what?
The end of the Odyssey.
What's that?
Oh, come on, you've heard of that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the blockbuster film,
I'm just
Nolan.
winding you up now. Keith in Nottingham, so sorry to hear dear Poppy is unwell, but look on the bright side, she's in good hands. Arena is allegedly going to be health secretary
Jesus Christ.
with a vape. Can you imagine? It'd be great. On a serious note, I'm not sure if we can go through Rachel Reeves' CV. There must be something she's missed doing. Maybe she was milk monitor at school. Could she be Minister for Farming? Let's talk about the Cabinet quickly, because I'd love your suggestions this morning, 87222. I'm going to nail it here, and you're going to tell me. I think Ed Miliband will be Foreign Secretary, which gives him promotion but out the way. I think that Shabana Mahmood will be the Chancellor, and I think Yvette Cooper will go back to being Home Secretary, which I find a bit weird. I think that Wes Streeting's going to miss out. Allegedly, he was caught crying the other day. Is that right?
He could be the Defence Secretary. That has been bandied around that he could be Defence. Yeah, Wes going there, because they think he's quite hard line, and that will make him seem attractive.
Lammy goes?
I think Lammy's probably going to be shuffled out, yeah.
Do you think Louise Haigh, the convicted fraudster, will be made Justice Secretary?
That would be the funniest outcome. I imagine she'll probably be put into DCMS or something
no, I'm
non-controversial.
going to tell you what I think.
But it would be funny if she was Justice Minister.
I think Louise Haig's going to be the new Chief
Prisons
Whip.
Minister.
I think she's going to be the new Chief
You've got
Whip.
to be kidding me.
No, because she's been galvanising all the troops to vote for him. I think she'll be like his little sort of sidekick.
Chanel about Crime and Punishment.
What about Angela Rayner? Do you think she's going to get the bit? Is she coming back, do you think?
She's definitely coming back. I know she's been lobbying very, very hard for her old brief, so she wants to go back into housing, but she's probably going to end up in the health. If that's what, obviously, people are now saying that she's going to be put in as health secretary.
Do we think that Rachel Reeves will get a job, or do you think she'll be thrown?
No, I think
she's
she'll
gone.
be thrown. Or it'll be a humiliating junior minister role.
You can't give her from Chancellor to personal private secretary to David Lammy. Lammy's gone, hasn't he?
I think Lammy's gone, yeah.
Oh, this is great. I love it.
Or again, it's like a humiliating job. It's like if you go from one of the 4 offices of state, like the really important ones, to DCMS or something similar.
I don't get the whole Yvette Cooper thing, because she's been Home Secretary. I think there could be a surprise as Home Secretary. I think Pat McFadden could be in the mix for something as well.
I think the thing is, now he can see off their criticism that he hasn't got enough women in the cabinet. Seriously, this is how stupid people are. They're actually deciding who's going to run the country on the basis of, like, their gender. Who cares?
Because anyway, they get a lot of grief. They've never had a female leader, have they, the Labour Party? No.
To which the answer should be, like, the problem isn't that Labour hasn't had a female leader, it's that their leaders are rubbish. Like, I don't really care what people have in their trousers if they're good leaders or not. The problem is Labour...
Sorry, you don't care what people have in their trousers?
I don't care about having a female leader. What do I care? I'm British. I want to have a good leadership of the country. I want my taxes to be lower and I want things to work.
I think you're a far-right bigot.
Well,
I think you're a homophobic, far-right, misogynistic bigot to even say that you don't care what somebody's sex is and you only want low taxes. It's all about you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, of course it is. 6:23. Graham in Sussex. I mean, I think he's a bit preemptive here. He's saying get Burnham out. Burnham's not even in yet. Get him out! Get him out! He hasn't even started.
You know what I want to hear? What are the nicknames people have for Andy Burnham? Because we had so many good ones with Keir Starmer. There's got to be some good ones. I swear I heard one that really made me laugh, and I've already forgotten it. It was a very good...
you started with Andy Pandy. Pudding and pie. You see, you can't even do that anymore. Kiss all the girls and make them cry. That would have got you in trouble. Vinny says, I bet he won't stop net zero. Get him out. The poor man hasn't even started yet. Here's one thing I want to say to you all, though, Alarm Clock Brits. This is true. And this is true in a relationship, it's true in an office environment, it's true in life. If you shaft somebody to get something, do you know what you do? You spend a lot of your time looking over your shoulder wondering if you're going to get the same happen to you.
Well, and
I predict within 6 months there will be pandemonium in the Labour Party.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You know, I had a conversation with someone that said the briefing culture is going to stop.
Yeah.
Because Andy Burnham is so against briefing. He was very angry when people were sending out stuff to the media about Ed Miliband, when there was that big dispute over who's going to be the Chancellor, which obviously we'll find out today. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what he says now. He's at the height of his popularity right now. Today will be like the peak of Andy Burnham. As soon as he gets into power, things will go wrong. People will be upset they didn't get the top job. People will be jostling for new positions. People will want his job as well. There will be stuff in the media. It will play out. It will be messy. It will be dirty. It always is. The only person who got close to stopping the briefing culture was Dominic Cummings. And you know what he had to do? He had to send out fake stories to people who were actually working for the Prime Minister and see what news outlet it ended up in and then fire them.
I can never tell you on air why I'm a massive Dominic Cummings fan, but I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you off air. 6:25 0344 419 1000. Text to 87222. You would talk breakfast back in 3.
I spoke to the Chief Constable of Devon and Cornwall Police 3 times. I spoke to the Prime Minister as well, and those calls took place over Friday and Saturday, and they both told me it's a burglary that's gone wrong. I said, no, it is not. A burglar does not park his car on your drive and walk into the house. And I went to Dartmoor on Saturday and I said, I have no doubt this is a premeditated murder. I received tons of abuse for saying it, but sadly, it's proved that I'm right.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's all about Andy Burnham. I mean, I'd like to make it about something else. I'd like to slag off the Argentinians a bit more. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Ha! Did you not? They are. I'm sorry, they were dirty. They were fighting with the Spaniards after the game. Well, you're not interested at all, are you? All right, Adrian, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Morning, Poppy. This is Adrian from East Sussex. Looking at a beautiful sunrise over East Sussex, thinking, is this going to be the first day that the United Kingdom is a communist state? Yeah, communism is all about state ownership of everything, no one owning anything of their own, and everyone being paid equal based on their needs. Anyway, let's see what happens, but it's not going to be pretty. Good luck all.
So can I just, honestly, that sound, do you know, he reminded me, that man, as if he was saying, right, the hurricane's incoming. This happened to me when I lived in America. I took the show to America and they made a big thing in Manhattan about this hurricane was coming. And for 7 days, if you walked through New York, they were putting that tape across the windows and everybody was battering down. We were told to go into the bunker at the bottom, underneath. We stayed there. Oh, it was awful. And woke up in the morning, there were 3 twigs in the garden, and it sort of, as it got to Manhattan, it sort of went right and destroyed somewhere else. He sounds, Adrian, like this is... Do you honestly think it's going to be as bad as people are making out under Burnham?
No, I don't think so. I mean...
I just think he's nothing. I don't think there's anything there.
I think the thing about Andy Burnham is that he will be continuity Starmer, and I know that's not what he's presenting himself as because he thinks he has charisma. I can't agree. I think the David Brent comparison's spot on.
Do you not think it is... As a woman, do you not find him charismatic and stunning? She's not looking impressed.
No, of course I don't. I know he's got those long eyelashes, but, you know, so does a cow's got long eyelashes. I wouldn't want a cow to govern Britain. No, but he is going to be like Keir Starmer. You know why? Because he can't make any decisions. He can't make any tough decisions, and that was exactly
got to cut the welfare benefits budget.
He won't do it. He wants to be Mr. Nice. He wants to be Mr. Popular. That's always been what he is.
And I also think if you get to a position as he's done by taking a whole lot of people and getting them to work for you, and I said it before Starmer, if you have so many people around a table that you have to please, you end up not being able to move at all because you are hampered by this bit. You've absolutely struck a chord here, haven't you? Poppy Coburn wants to know what your nickname for Andy Burnham would be. It's gone nuts. 87222. Nickname for Burnham, Crash and Burnham, says Johnny from Ipswich. Nice. We like that. Keith, hello, Jez. As a parting gift to the British public, Starmer made Sadiq Khan a lord. Heaven help us. Is he going to end up in the cabinet?
Oh, God. Probably is, isn't he?
How about Andy Burden, Poppy?
Andy Burnham, yeah.
Andy Burden. And does nickname backtrack Burnham because he'll flip-flop more than Starmer, says Steve in Leon C. What do you reckon
That's a good forward-facing one.
Yeah, I can't decide whether Andy Burnham is Joe 90 or Marina from Stingray. You don't even know what they are! Oh, God. Can we get a picture, please? Joe 90 or Marina from Stingray. Joe 90... Do you not know who Joe 90 is?
Like, at least I kind of vaguely remember what Dallas is. I have no idea what those two are.
It's just amazing, isn't it? Let's see if we can get a picture of Andy Burnham as Joe 90. Andy does... Yeah, no, we've called it... I'm not reading that out. Andy Vermin. How does that sound?
Andy Vermin?
Hasn't even started.
I think that's the one I might have heard last time. That Andy Vernon, that's very good.
Bill says in Cheshire, I reckon his shelf life's about 6 months. Hope doesn't pay the bills, doesn't stop the boats, doesn't create jobs, doesn't build houses, doesn't defend the UK, doesn't get you a GP appointment, doesn't fill potholes, doesn't reduce your tax bills, doesn't reduce unemployment, doesn't reduce our debt, and definitely doesn't reduce the bloody welfare bill. Hope is nothing.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Maybe not a cheering message, but true.
Have we got another clip? Oh, hold on a second. Joe 90 wants to speak again. He's going to be a Prime Minister for all of us. Here we go.
This is my 4th commitment to you. I mean it when I say all places. I will be a leader for the North, the South, the East and the West, for Scotland, Wales and for Northern Ireland.
It's lovely rhetoric, but what does it all mean? I thought Cliff's absolutely right. We've got so many problems in this country.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard anything tangible from Burnham that will make you think, do you know what? That's great. Do something.
Well, isn't this the problem, the lack of scrutiny? You know, like, the press have basically been kept away from him. He hasn't done any proper press conferences. He's selected which journalists he wants to speak to.
Oh, has he already?
He's been slightly briefing out news, like dribs and drabs.
Anything
like,
to the Telegraph? Has the Telegraph sort of in his good books?
No, he's only speaking to people that are basically going along with this tune.
Right, as a journalist, I've been waiting all weekend to say this to you. You work for the Daily Telegraph. Their headline today, Burnham heralds a new era of big state. National Lottery, Thames Water and bus services in his sights for nationalisation. The only interview this man has done was with Gary Lineker's Goal Hanger podcast. What does that tell you?
What tells you he doesn't like scrutiny? I mean, the same thing they accuse every right-wing politician of doing, they do themselves 10 times over. Andy Burnham is not going to be scrutinised because we're about to go on a parliamentary recess. We're not going to see him for 6 weeks, and he will just be allowed to be in there concocting his stupid policies that we will have no idea what they actually are, and we won't know about it until the Parliament has gone back again. And in all that time, he's not being scrutinised one bit. He hasn't spoken to anyone, hasn't told anyone what he's going to do.
Is there frustration amongst the journalists, or is there a feeling that actually, you know, this is the same as before?
Well, there's frustration amongst journalists, but there should also be frustration amongst Labour MPs, because they should be thinking, Jesus, I mean, the only person who's got even half a lick of sense is Graham Stringer, who's completely spot on, who said, look at what's just happened with Keir Starmer. What's changed? He's actually asking the question. He's looking beyond Andy Burnham's slick PR image and saying, what does this man actually believe? And he's not been able to get an answer to that.
We don't want help, Andy. We want hope. We don't need help spending our hard-earned money. We hope that our taxes will be valued and not wasted. We don't need help raising our kids. We hope that they are given a proper chance to succeed by educating them for the jobs of the future. We don't need help heating our homes or feeding our families. We hope the environment is created so we can all prosper off our hard work. I'll be honest, says James, I've got absolutely sod all hope at all. Yeah. I mean, listen, the people that would listen to this station are probably never, ever going to support a Labour government. But we're all patriots. We all want our country to succeed. And you're right, it's just like a slick PR machine that's replaced Keir Starmer. I never thought I'd sit here. I mean, Starmer, dangerous. And you know, if I was Andy Burnham, I said it last week, I'd have taken that political capital and I've gone to those 400 MPs, and they can't get rid of him, by the way, not in a million years, not in the next 3 years. No. I am going to have to cut the benefits bill, whether you like it or not. Yeah. I'm going to have to spend more on defence. I'm going to have to announce a wide-ranging national grooming gang inquiry with judicial powers at the end of it. I'm going to have to stop net zero and start drilling. And if we don't do any of that, all of you will be toast. All of you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I said earlier, this is the most power he's ever going to have today, right now, just as he becomes Prime Minister. From then on, it's a downhill battle, right? You saw that with Keir Starmer. Comes in with a massive majority. Within half a year, he's a lame duck Prime Minister that can't get his MPs to do anything. So that's why we need to know what he's doing.
No, I remember people were saying when Starmer came to power, he'll be gone in 2 years, and all that again. Are you joking? He's just got the biggest... You're saying the same about Andy Burnham.
Yeah,
the gloss will come off.
You are correct, though, in saying that they can't get rid of him.
No.
They can't. I know the temptation will be there, Tory style, to just throw someone out and try over again. The Labour Party can't survive it. There's no one else to come in and do that job.
Well, they didn't find anybody in their ranks. They had to go outside, didn't
exactly.
they?
And it's also existential for Labour in the same way it was for the Tories. If Labour fails, if this Burnham project fails, that's it for the Labour Party. Yeah. That is it for the Labour Party, because it doesn't represent a real constituency in this country anymore.
Morning, JK and Poppy. Andy Burnham name suggesting looks like a thunderbird, so most appropriate name Brains. I don't think that's appropriate at all. Darren from Bristol. Andy, why don't you go back up north and don't come back? Well, I think that's fair enough. Steph, good morning. Joe 90 is a wooden puppet with strings. You still don't know. Are we getting a picture of Joe 90? How are we doing with the Joe 90 picture? That's why Burnham. So we're gonna get you a picture of Joe 90. I need to find out what's your first memory on television?
My first memory on television.
The Jeremy Kyle show.
I'm trying to think now.
Did you watch the Jeremy Kyle show?
I did watch the Jeremy Kyle show. Okay. My sister's a super fan. I've told you this before. Oh, God, what's the first thing I watched on television? I think I used to watch a lot of air crash investigations. My dad used to put it on. He used to scare the bejesus out of me. I remember the first time we went on a family holiday, and I spent the entire time in the air crying because I was watching so much air crash investigation as a child. I think that's it, really. Yeah, I don't
nothing that resonates.
Nothing
first
really
musical memory. Show us your age. Or Backstreet Boys, probably.
Oh, well, that was Dad playing Depeche Mode in the car, which is a bit of a throwback.
Depeche Mode?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's weird, man. This is a strange upbringing. Are you vegetarian as well?
No, I'm not vegetarian. You can compare me to Keir Starmer.
Yes, I am. Yes, good. Charles is in Thailand. I'm not going to ask why, but it's anywhere's better than here. Older people might find Andy Burnham's eyebrows reminiscent of Adam Adamant. When that TV series ended, actor Gerald Harper kept his character's eyebrows in a picture frame at his house to make him feel better. 0344 499 1000. It's all about Andy Burnham today. We've got Peter Cardwell, our political editor / presenter. He's going to be in Downing Street. He'll be, and this is Peter Cardwell live from Downing Street, and there comes Andy Burnham getting out of the car and walking up to the door, and there he's turned round at the door at you. We'll have Samara Gill. That was quite a good impression, wasn't it? Samara Gill will indeed be outside Buckingham Palace, the gates, as he sweeps in. Here's a little-known fact. At the top of the Mall, there's an archway. There's a window. This is an extraordinary thing about Britain. You think this is ridiculous, don't you? I want to share this with people, right? As the Prime Minister drives through it to go to Buckingham Palace to give up, the next incumbent is sat in a chair at that window and watches his predecessor go. And it is not until the predecessor's car comes back through that tunnel that the other one gets in a car and goes up the Mall, which means for 10 minutes and 30 seconds today, the country has no leader.
What is that accent you're doing?
I've no idea. I'm trying to...
all up and down the country like Andy Burnham.
Yes, I want to be the presenter for the North, the South, the East and the West. This is Talk Breakfast.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is brilliant. She keeps saying to me, Poppy, what the hell are you talking about? Listen to this. Morning, Pops. At 26, you've got years and years in front of you to learn all about Dallas and the Flower Pot Men. Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men.
I just looked up a photo. They look frightening.
Yes, I'd rather be 26 again than be the wrong side of 60. Great show. Just a bloody shame about your sidekick, says Chris in Lancashire, who's obviously single. Sorry, Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men, no idea?
No.
The Soup Dragon, any idea?
No.
It's Baldrick Burnham because he has a cunning plan, says Sharon. That's brilliant.
So I do know Blackadder.
You do know Blackadder?
Yeah.
Right. Which was your favourite character in Blackadder?
It was actually Baldrick.
It was Baldrick. The man who never washed. And the man is... and actually... No, that's boring. Jackie, good morning.
Hi, Jez. It's Jackie from Bournemouth. Just been watching that clip again of Burnham doing his speech. This man doesn't believe a word he's saying. The reason he doesn't, because he had to read every single word. If he believed, and he was really, really trying to let us know what he believed in, why is he reading every single word? No different from Starmer. Bye.
Brilliant. Now, 27, the other big story that I know will resonate with it. I know you didn't watch the football last night. I didn't as well, but there is absolute outrage from footy fans across the globe as the shameless BBC aired this massively nauseating big budget licence fee and a payment reminder in the middle of the World Cup final. Did you sue it? With none other than a man who... I'm not making any comment, Christian, whatever. Do you know who Mr Tumble is?
Mr Tumble?
Oh, Jesus. Mr Tumble, children's programme. What used to be in the next door dressing room to me. No comment about that. This is the BBC in the middle of the World Cup final trying to grab your money. Have a watch.
What has the BBC ever done for me? Yes, there are shows I wouldn't dare to belittle. Like a record-breaking drama about a hospital. What are we looking at?
He's taking a serious tumble.
What has the BBC ever done for me?
That is pretty shameless from our state broadcast. You don't think in the middle of the World Cup final?
I mean, again...
Do you know what the BBC is? Do you know what the BBC is? Do you know the BBC, that channel? Have you heard of the BBC?
Yes, I've heard of the BBC.
Well, I didn't know if you had. You're so young, you might only have heard of Netflix.
BBC, yeah, I have heard of the BBC, although I do think it's probably my generation that is the reason BBC
Actually,
is...
I'm interested. What's your take on the BBC? A lot of people that listen to this think it's just trumped up. It's a joke. State broadcasters biased, the money's not worth it, all that stuff.
The thing that's so sad about the BBC is there's so much amazing content they used to make. Like, some of the best, like, news services you could get, really, really, like, some of the best minds, like, obviously everyone brings up Civilization, really smart documentaries that actually treated you like a grown-up. It's kind of disappointing that they're trying to show the best of the stuff they can offer. And it's like kids' TV, reality TV, and what else? It's like all shows that have existed for about 20 years.
I've always said, the argument from the BBC will always be, well, we do really good things. Well, if you do really good things like The Traitors and Strictly and programmes that you stand by, then give the audience the chance to say, I want to subscribe to that. To take 170 whatever it is quid off people who don't even watch it is fundamentally wrong, in my humble opinion. And I think that they should be not good enough, but they should be able to stand on their own 2 feet. And other stations don't succeed unless they have advertisers, unless they have an audience. And the BBC, to me, is just I don't know, and it's the most biased broadcast. I mean, people say, oh, well, talk's a little bit to the right, but you make that choice, OK? You make that choice. The BBC are state broadcaster. It's not unbiased at all, is it?
I mean, I think they try not to be biased, but the problem is they do have a lot of people that work for them that will have a political bias.
Question Time with Andy Burnham during the Makerfield by-election was the most biased thing I've ever seen. Yeah. Every question, every audience member, it was set for Andy Burnham. That's biased.
I think the question is, does neutrality make sense today? Like, does that make sense as a model anymore?
It should do if you're the state broadcaster.
But I think it's impossible because we're too polarised as a society. So some people will say it's... I mean, seriously, if you look under the BBC, the comments, half the people say it's too left-wing and half the people say it's too right-wing. It just doesn't really make any sense nowadays, is my opinion. But there you go.
Jezza and Pops, a name for Burnham. 10 Downing Street will be called Bernie's Not In because he'll be up north half the time. That's interesting. Jez, I give Andy Boredom. Andy Boredom! 2 points if he gets Lammy and Miliband off the front bench. Morning, Jez. Earliest TV members are probably Andy Pandy and the Flower Pot Men, says Paddy in Andover.
Wait, is that where he's from, Andy and Pandy, from the Flower Pot Men?
No, I'm not going there. What have we got? Joe 90, right. I've got Joe 90 was a have a look at the Andy Burnham and Joe 90 on the screen. Have a look. See what you think. What do you think? She's not impressed.
Oh, my God.
That was a character.
Why is everything on children's TV so scary? I mean...
That was a puppet.
God.
I mean, actually, if you look at that now, that would have scared a child now. Honestly, but there you are. We think he looks like Joe 90.
Sorry, but the one my mum used to tell me about kids' TV in the 70s was the PSAs, like the kind of public service announcements, where it would be like a child being blown up or like wandering in front of a train.
It's getting a bit deep now, isn't it? To be honest, it's getting a bit deep now. What has the BBC done for me? Well, it's lied to me every day for the last 20 years.
Well, you see, that's a pretty good job every day. That's quite impressive.
I want to think... I think Captain Scarlet would make a better Burnham. Mick from Thailand. There's lots of people in Thailand that listen to this show.
Captain Scarlet? Who's that?
Oh, Jesus, this is like... I feel so old with you. I mean, you're supposed to make me feel like I'm switched on, but the truth is I don't. I feel very, very old. 7:15. Let's cross to L.A. Kins is waiting for us. The legend that is Kinsey Schofield. Good morning.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hello. Hey, hello, you're live.
Ask intelligent questions.
What's that noise?
What? I'm listening to an audio. I didn't know you were going to me. I'm so sorry.
What were you listening to?
A boy sent me a voice message.
A boy sent you a voice message. Can we let's forget the segment we were about to go. Let's talk about that boy and that message. How did you meet him?
No, I'm not. We're not talking. What did I miss?
After the break, we're going to find out the truth about Kinsey and her new man. We're coming right back on the Jeremy Kyle Show. Sorry, I want to know about the boy, though. Who is he? Have I met him? Do I approve of him? How old is he? Is he married? What's going on?
I can't believe that Poppy's just 26 years young. I mean, she is...
That is deflection at its absolute best, Kinsey Schofield. Welcome to the show. The reason I was desperate to have you on is actually not to slag Meghan or Harry or talk about anything other than the King's role today, because, of course, today we're changing Prime Minister. Today we have this whole ceremonial feast to gorge on. Do you know anything about what the King... I mean, I know he has to sort of say thanks very much. What do they do when they say, well, thank you for your resignation? Does he ever go, I'm sorry you were crap, or you've done a brilliant job, or does he say nothing? What happens?
Well, you know, we had those sweet images of Queen Elizabeth saying goodbye to... I mean, some of the last images of Queen Elizabeth as we watched a prime minister transition out and hello to a brand new prime minister. So I think that they have to stay above the fray. We're supposed to not know where these people stand politically at all. With Queen Elizabeth, we really didn't. With King Charles, we kind of do. And it's my understanding that he got along really well with Keir Starmer. He's probably a little disappointed by Keir Starmer's resignation.
Who?
King Charles. I mean, I imagine that I think that he's probably disappointed because I think that they're horrible. I'm so sorry to say this, but I think that they're like-minded.
Oh, without any shadow of a doubt. He's definitely a vegan, vegetarian, green, lefty, gardenista, wet, whatever you want to call it. No, I get that. He is. But I just wonder whether they ever say anything. Those images that you would be talking about, where I think he was saying, the Queen was saying goodbye to Johnson and hello to Liz Truss. But I'm sort of interested. Have you any idea what the King would say? Lovely, well done, marvellous. Thank you for 2 years of messing up the country, you total idiot. Anyway, you bugger off and I've got another one coming in. And then Burnham will come in his T-shirt. Our new Prime Minister's not wearing a shirt and tie unless he's in the Commons.
Well, I heard one of your listeners talk about hope. Well, this new prime minister reminds me a lot of Obama with and Kamala, where it's just
I'm going to pick you up there. Nothing like Obama, who went to the American public and 70 million people voted for him. Andy Burnham's not gone to the British public at all. He won a seat with 24,952 votes. That's the real contention here, that the man hasn't got a mandate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it just feels like everything he's saying is very vague in vibes. And it's like vibes aren't going to get us anywhere. We need a strategy. We need a plan. And it's especially upsetting when ChatGPT exists, okay? Andy, come on, give us anything.
Well, I'd like to point out about ChatGPT, whatever it's called, because I'm not very technically... I thought the A1 was a road until I discovered it was AI, but this is true. I don't want to go into too much detail, but my son did a piece of work, you'll love this, Poppy, for his college the other day. And I'm not, but, you know, he's reasonably intelligent, but he's no Einstein. And he got a double distinction, because I was doing the old parental thing when you ring up, and I went, wow. And she said, yes. She said, double distinction, fantastic piece of work. And when I came off, I said, double distinction? And he went, yeah, AI, GBT, but yeah. And I went, so you put it in there? He said, yeah, everybody does it nowadays. Why? Why would you waste your time trying to work it out yourself? That's the way it goes, isn't it? Off to the golf course now. Honestly, the world's changed, right? Seriously.
I don't think we should be sharing that story for everyone to hear. I feel like that should have been something that stayed inside the living room.
No. We've got to be honest about life. We've got to be completely honest. So we don't really know what royals are going to say to PMs in these moments. We don't know whether they'll criticise them or thank them. Do they exchange
He won't.
gifts?
I mean, the king is a very, you know this as well as I do, he's very kind and encouraging. He will be kind, he will be encouraging, and he will be uplifting. But it truly breaks my heart that you called me on here to discuss this and not the Megxit U-turn, which is freaking all of us out.
OK, you crack on, do it. I was trying to just make it topical, but of course I want to do the Megxit U-turn. Go!
Oh my goodness, the Daily Mail reporting over the weekend that Harry and Meghan's Hollywood dream has the bubble has burst, and Harry is surprised and defeated that America hasn't responded to him in the way that he thought ultimately they would. And so he is planning on, you know, they called it Project Thaw before, but is planning to spend more time in the United Kingdom because he just feels like he's not going to be able to cut it in the States. And according to this piece, I don't know if I believe it or not, Meghan is supportive of this. I mean, is it like the last resort because nobody wants to buy your loose fruit spread, perhaps? But, you know, it makes a lot of sense. Their behavior lately has been so strange.
Yeah.
And to want to spend more time in the UK because things just aren't working out in the United States, it tracks, JK.
No, I understand that, and to be honest, Jess, of course, we were always going to talk about that. I think for them, that's a massive thing to admit that the dream hasn't worked. I mean, I've read. You know it's briefing as well when you hear, you know, when he misses his family and he misses England. What he didn't when he was slagging them off and getting millions of dollars to just put the boot in, but suddenly all of a sudden he's discovered that he's, you know, and the way they'll play it is, you know, I need to see my dad and I need to do this, but they'll never be bought. I mean, I could be wrong here, but I don't believe the British people will buy it for 1 second. I think the British people are not cynical. I think they're actually genuinely switched on to how these two are a couple of grifters, plain and simple, sweetheart.
Well, trust isn't rebuilt with anonymous briefings to newspapers. And to your point, that's exactly what this is. You know, the fact that we know this, I think, it tells us a lot that they're still talking despite the fact that, according to reports over the last few weeks, King Charles asked them to keep their mouths shut, especially about their meeting. But yeah, I mean, I just think that a lot of people would be really upset if that did come to fruition in the UK specifically. I don't think taxpayers want to pay for the Harry and Meghan circus.
No.
And it's likely very frustrating for them to see that King Charles just met with them because they're under the impression that he might be privy to the plan or a part of the plan.
I think they can soften him up, but I think with William and Camilla together, I think there is absolutely no chance of that happening. I think you'll find the King did it for a good reason, and I'm sure he loved it. I mean, I was reading that they FaceTime all the time. That's fine. But I just think he's probably far more aware of what potentially can go wrong than ever before, sweetheart. Listen, thank you so much. You'll be watching with bated anticipation. The thing is, you're happy about that story because you want them out of America, don't you, to be fair?
No, I want to be your neighbor. I want to live where you live.
Listen, I'm very happy for you to live near. I've never met my neighbours. It's quite a while. I'm joking. Love your work. Thank you so much indeed. Kinsey Schofield, the lady, the legend, and the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, who was getting a voice note from another man as we went to her. How extraordinary is that?
That's quite shocking. I was going to say it's early in the morning, but I guess in LA
No, it's late at night. She's getting late-night messages. So Poppy Coburn, who struggled, bless her heart, to come in today despite feeling crap. Today is the day that Andy Burnham, the man, the king of the North, who's got no mandate from the British people, walks into the most powerful job in the UK. Are we making too much of this? I don't think so.
The way you said that, it sounded like it was a setup for a bad joke. Walks into the most powerful job in England.
But it's true!
No, I mean, I think he is a joke, ultimately. I think we should probably do a bet now. I know you're not allowed to bet in politics, but let's do a friendly bet with no stakes on the line.
What do you mean, no stakes?
How long is it going to take for Andy Burnham to crash and burn? And by crash and burn, I mean crash and...
Oh, God!
Jesus Christ.
Where is it now?
Burnham,
July? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's July. So how long do you think it's going to take before Labour is polling it, let's say, 20%?
I read a poll at the weekend where they were level with reform for the first time in about 350 polls. There's your bounce. I will give it 6 months and the gloss will come off. Defence, welfare, net zero, drilling. There's a massive difference between what you say and what you do. And he is hamstrung, as you've pointed out. And it might be that everybody gets excited because, you know, here's the chance. His hands are tied.
I completely agree with you. I think it's probably going to be... I'm going to go safer. I'm going to say a year.
I bet you a banana.
Okay, fine.
Do you like eating bananas?
I hate them. Absolutely hate them. So I don't
What
want to win.
do you like? You don't like Joe 90. You don't know who the flower
Sorry,
pot
you haven't
men are.
offered some great stuff. So a mouldy old banana, some flower pot men.
Hold on a second. It's not mouldy. Right, it's a very...
It will be in 6 months' time.
It's a very fresh banana. What? Why are you laughing at that? Does that make you... Oh, we've discovered that if you hold up something that's bent and 6 inches long, Poppycoat goes to bits. What's the matter with you?
Jesus Christ. Yeah, OK, fine. I can win the banana if Andy Burnham's got a 6 months. I'm going to say a year.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it safe for myself.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? I think the whole big story of all of this is how he got here so easily.
Yeah.
What does he stand for?
What does it say about this country? That 25,000 votes and a marginal seat can make you Prime Minister.
And I think also the point that you've made many, many times on this show is that the British people, and I've said it lots as well, they've woken up, haven't they, to the fact that they have an opinion and their opinion matters. And you said it, and I'm going to quote you back on that. You said today is the most powerful day that Andy Burnham will ever have.
Yeah.
After which it goes downhill.
Yeah.
A year. Thank you, sweetheart. And thank you. We should thank her enormously for coming in, because you haven't felt... I mean, personally, I don't know why your boyfriend didn't just ring up and say, she's in bed, we're looking after her, she's not well, I'm terribly...
He's fast asleep. He was watching the World Cup final.
He's what? Honestly, did he go to the pub again last night?
No. He wasn't very well behaved. Just listening to it on the radio.
Blimey, you're controlling him already.
Exactly.
It's a controlling, abusive relationship. What's that for with your hand? Don't start that. Poppy Coburn, thank you very much, Dee. She's back on Thursday. We're live across the UK. It's almost 7 o'clock. A great array of guests. Ben Habib kicks off the next hour. We've got Carl Turner later. We have got David Smith, the Labour MP. We've got Sarah Pochin. All of that on the day that Andy Burnham is coronated. Coronation chicken. News at 7. Just thought I'd throw it in. News at 7 is next on Talk Breakfast.
miss Keir Starmer. I miss the guy. He is the lesser of two evils, because Andy Burnham is going to be so left-wing as a Prime Minister because he's being propelled to power by a cadre of left-wing figures within the party. He'll be backed by the unions. When he gets in, Alex, they will expect their pound of flesh. This guy is wedded to the failed and ruinous ideology of socialism.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Well, you know what? In the end, he did do the right thing, and there were some achievements, and he's an honourable man, and he cared about public service. Guys, that's not what happened just now. In the last half an hour, Keir Starmer resigned, and he resigned because he was pushed. Most of his issues, most of the things which have damned him from, let's face it, within days, within weeks of him becoming Prime Minister back in July 2024, or of his own making. They were things he chose to do, cutting the winter fuel allowance, damning everybody who wanted to have a public inquiry on the grooming gangs as jumping onto the far-right bandwagon, the two-tier policing after the Southport riots. This man brought it on himself. He was not a good Prime Minister.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense. Because he's got, let's be honest. But look, I mean, I don't really want to make light of it, but I am cheesed off, Julia, because what we promised in opposition was competence, and it's been anything but. I'm embarrassed. I'm really, truly, honestly, I am embarrassed because I did think we would be competent. We've not been.
I've no idea whether there'll be a contest or a coronation. But what I do know is the British public have simply had enough of political parties chopping and changing their leaders at will. We vote for somebody in a general election to be our Prime Minister. We expect them to serve their term. And barring ill health or exceptional circumstances, what is going on here, frankly, is reminiscent of a banana republic that has totally devalued the very process of general elections and democracy. We at Reform demand a general election.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hey, very good morning to you. Just gone 7 o'clock. Welcome along or welcome back. This is Talk, the home of common sense, and of course, the home of you, the alarm clock Brit. Thank you for making the effort to go to work. I don't know why you're bothering, really. You might as well have signed on. I'm only joking. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Whatever you want to talk about today, you can send that voice note to Christian. You can, of course, send us a text, 87222. The only, well, the biggest story in town is Andy Burnham, the self-styled King of the North, today arrives in Downing Street to become the new Prime Minister. And this isn't sour grapes. The Tories did it, but this man has absolutely no mandate from the British people at all. When this Labour government was being elected, he wasn't even an MP. He had no input on the manifesto. He stood in Makerfield in a by-election that, frankly, was arranged by his mate Josh Simmons so he could win. And he's now the Prime Minister, which is an extraordinary thing about British democracy, however you see it. But this mandate is really, really important. Already a poll out says that the south of England, people are saying, you're not our Prime Minister. He can promise to be all things to all people. Our 7th Prime Minister in a decade, which says very, very little. We're going to give you full coverage today. We've got Peter... Is he there yet? Peter Cardwell is going to be live in Downing Street, bringing you all the latest, and it happens across the day. I think that's just a good... And shall I do my joke now? You can tell that somebody's from Northern Ireland when they sneeze, right? Because they do this. Achoo! So there you go. If you are standing next to Peter and he sneezes, you'll know he's from Northern Ireland. Brilliant from him. Also, Samara Gill. How you doing? She's going to be outside Buckingham Palace later on, bringing you a little bit of Aussie interpretation of the day. No, I'm joking. Right, we're done. Later on, not sure about the timings, around 11, Starmer will be driven up the Mall. It's been great. Off. Thank you. Backdoor job. You're moving out. Andy Burnham, he'll then go up the Mall, accept the thing of office, phone his wife and say, get the boxes in, I need a cup of tea, and then he'll go back to Downing Street and make a speech to the entire nation where he presumably won't talk about, you know, ending the ridiculous problem with net zero or drilling or the welfare budget or stopping the boats or having a national inquiry into the grooming gangs or creating some more police on the streets or having a justice system that actually locks people up and leaves them there until they've paid their time. No, no, no. It's going to be lovely. It's going to be for us all, which is a lovely thing. I thought just a bit of light-hearted fun. Why not? 87222. Have we got any moving tips for Burnham? You know when you move house, Great story of mine. My mate Phil Easton, the late great Phil Easton, said to me, he said, I got up one morning, he said, and I sat in my chair and watched the breakfast news on television with my bowl of shreddies. And he said, I went to work and I came home 14 hours later. I sat at the dinner table and then that chair and had a cup of tea. It's just the chair was in a completely different house. She did it all. I get too stressed. So let's give Andy Burnham some moving tips. Morning, Boz.
JK, Travelling Boz here. Please, please do not insult heroes of mine who I grew up with. Captain Scarlet, any of the Thunderbirds, and Joe 90. Absolutely top class. To me, they were real. You know, it comes out now they were puppets, but, you know, when I was younger, they were real. Do not compare Andy, eyebrows, eyelash, boring Burnham to any of them.
This man... I'm already getting texts saying Andy Burnham out. He's not Prime Minister for 6 hours. 0344 499 1000. The other big news of the day, of course, the World Cup. England beating France to be third on Saturday and playing brilliantly. Why didn't they do that on Wednesday last night? And I'm going to call it out for what it is. The Argentinians were as dirty as anything. They lost eventually 1-0 to Spain. Didn't have a whole shot in 115 minutes. Started fighting with everybody. But the BBC, they took the biscuit peeps. You know what the BBC did? In the middle of the game, they played a 4-minute advert about how good the BBC was with a reminder you should indeed pay your licence fee. How nauseating do you find that our state broadcaster that rips us all off for money and has its own agenda can shamelessly do that? Absolutely outrageous. And just to make your Monday as well. Brilliant. Page 11 of The Sun. Strictly lessons for boat migrants. When you come over here, you can have dancing lessons. Asylum seekers of Britain's biggest migrant are receiving dance therapy and cricket coaching funded by you, the taxpayer. Because it's hard sitting... I mean, what do you do in your hotel with your credit card and your mobile phone and your wife isn't here because she's in an area where... Oh, no, they're not bombing. No, you just left her in a spa somewhere. Anyway, you're over here and we're paying for you. So it would only be fair, I think, and proper to teach you how to dance or to teach you to play cricket. Or just, why don't we just run a course of taking the out of the British people? So they could all qualify, couldn't they, straight away? 0344 499 1000. Whatever you want to talk about, get those voice notes in, get those calls in. We'll say a very good morning to the legend. We love him. I don't know what his latest title is. Ben Habib, good morning, sir. What is your latest title? What am I calling you?
Just call me Ben.
Yeah, all right, Ben. Yeah, Ben. Actually, do you remember Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men?
I do, yeah. Along with Captain Scarlet and the Thunderbirds, all about the same time.
He does look like Joe 90, old Andy Burnham.
He does, with the thick eyebrows.
I like the bloke who went, they were my childhood heroes. I didn't realise they were puppets. If you're watching on YouTube, there he is. There's Joe 90. I mean, if you look back now, that must have been scary for kids. If that came up now, people would freak out, wouldn't they?
I think you freak out more at the sight of Andy Burnham than you would of Joe 90.
You always strike me as somebody who knows quintessentially the things that matter in this country, the systems, the things that have always made us great. This man, I mean, it is pretty unprecedented. I know that the Tories have certainly changed leader, and I've been very vocal on that, and even an MP changing is fundamentally wrong, Ben. But today a man who wasn't even an MP when the manifesto that Keir Starmer put in front was voted for the British people, wasn't even an MP, has been parachuted in by a party that presumably amongst the 400 in Parliament, there's nobody good enough to do the job. He's got absolutely no mandate and is about to accede to the most powerful job in the land.
Yeah, I think it is a big issue. And, you know, people have talked incessantly about the Burnham bounce, and there seems to have been a bit of a bounce in the polls. But the lack of a mandate is going to come back to haunt him whenever he wishes to do anything which is, you know, I hesitate to use the word radical, but perhaps slightly more damaging than the already incredibly damaging policies that Labour have. He's going to be up against it because he won't have the support of many of his own backbenchers, frankly.
Sorry, can I just jump in, Ben? Because as you're speaking, we're showing live footage of the road sweeper driving past the front door, and you can just see Starmer's head as it disappears under the suction. Look at that. We're just going to clear up that mess and bring another one in. Sorry, Ben, I thought it was a great picture there, mate.
That was a great clip. Bunch of rubbish, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, He's going to have trouble with his own backbenchers, people who are disaffected in the party as a result of the changes that have taken place in leadership already, those who've been kicked out of the cabinet and now sitting on the backbenches. And we've seen this with any government that has lots of changes at the top. It eats itself out.
Yeah.
The leadership ceases to have the support across the party. I thought it was very interesting, Jeremy, that Kemi Badenoch, rightly, and I thought was quite clever of her, was offering Burnham support to cut the welfare state, reduce taxes and so on, if he wished to do that. And that would give him 120 odd MPs on which he could rely to perhaps do something sensible. But let's see whether he, which party goes down.
This is the interesting thing, and you know more than me. I fail to understand on a daily basis. We have a succession of politicians who either get the top job or become a cabinet minister, and none of them, it seems, are able to understand what I call common sense. And I don't know whether there's a lack of special advisors or anybody literally saying to them, look, you're going to have to do one of these things. You're going to have to use the political capital you've got right now, having, you all 400 think you're the Messiah, bar Graham Stringer, brilliant. And the truth of the matter is, if you knock on people's doors, said it last week, they're going to talk to you about the boats, they're going to talk to you about the welfare state, they're going to talk to you about net zero, they're going to talk to you about crime, they're going to talk to you about drilling, and they're going to talk to you about your national grooming gang inquiry with judicial powers at the end. Why has no politician got the balls to go, do you know what, even if I have to fight my party, because if Burnham did one or two of those today, bingo, people would go, oh, my God.
Absolutely, it would be bingo. But I think the task of achieving any one of those simple tasks, as you put the task in itself to get there is so dramatic in the changes required to our legislation that no Prime Minister has had the courage to do it over the last, throughout the Tory government and since, assuming they wish to do it. A lot of them, of course, had their own ideology completely hijacked by the large state, big borrowing, high taxation, large spending, no borders, internationalist agenda, liberalism ahead of democracy, all that kind of thing undermines their belief system. But that is also embedded into our quangos and our legislative structure. So if you want to stop the boats, as simple as that might seem, you've actually got to change the Human Rights Act. You've got to get rid of the European Convention on Human Rights. You've got to debug our judiciary. You've got to be able to have the courage to deport people. It's a complete seismic change in attitude of governance. And we haven't had that leader capable of understanding what's required to be done, unpicking it, putting in place. Actually, it's a matter of restoration rather than new laws, getting rid of all the laws that have hijacked us, and then having the fortitude to deliver those policies. We haven't even had a leader with the inclination to do it, let alone the fortitude. So, we are in a very, very difficult place, doing the very basic things that everyone on the doorstep pretty much would now want done.
It's interesting as well, there's an argument already today all over the front of the Mail, actually, and other newspapers, turmoil, front of the Sun. Donald Trump weighed in and said you need to drill. Lucy Powell, who's going to be his number two, I think, has already gone out and said, no, we're going to follow the manifesto. The manifesto says no drilling. She's also said, and this sends me to the point of derision, and this sends everybody that listens to this to the point of derision, we're going to double foreign aid at a cost of $11 billion a year. And I've said this on shows, and I have been called every name under the sun by all sorts of people. How the hell do you expect to sell to the British people who are on their knees with energy costs, with the cost of living in general, with everything, barely struggling to make ends meet, all those jams just about managing, and you're going to tell them you're going to double foreign aid, but we're going to raise your taxes to pay for that, and immigrants coming to this country illegally? It's farcical, Ben.
It is farcical, and again, without wishing to quote Kemi Badenoch again, she said, not drilling in the North Sea is a bit like unilateral energy disarmament. We're giving up the United Kingdom's ability to compete. We have to drill in the North Sea. We don't just have to drill in the North Sea. We have to cut taxes on the oil exploration and drilling companies. They're paying 78% corporation tax. I know a few people, reasonably senior levels in these companies, and they say even if they were given licenses now, they wouldn't bother because there's not enough of a return on capital. They might as well do it in the Middle East or in the Gulf of Mexico, wherever it is that they've got operations. They're not going to do it in the United Kingdom.
But you see, that's the same theory that the Labour Party, and I don't know what Andy Burnham's going to be like, but I've said it and I'll keep saying it. I suspect it'll be more of the same. This is a party who believe that everybody should be equal, that anybody who's aspirational, successful should be screwed so that they leave the country. This is a country, or rather a government and a party that never balance the books. And I'm not complimenting the Tories, but there are things in this country that the British public rightly... I mean, that story in The Sun today, I mean, people always go, oh, that's a bit light-hearted. It is absolutely unbelievable. Have you read this one about asylum seekers at Britain's biggest migrant camp are receiving dance therapy and cricket coaching because... No, but we laugh because they're bored, for Christ's sake. Send them home if they're here illegally.
It absolutely takes the biscuit.
Yeah.
Giving them dancing lessons and cricket lessons. And we already know that they get free tickets to other entertainment and whatnot. Laptops, cash in their pocket, free dental care, medical care, roof over their head. I mean, they get treated with sort of royal treatment, whereas the British people are neglected. And again, symptomatic by the increase in the foreign aid, the proposed increase in the foreign aid budget. Absolutely ludicrous.
And that's just tick boxing if you're Andy Burnham, which again, you know, somebody said to me at the weekend, you know, oh, the thing is, you know, he's gonna do something about the welfare budget. He's gonna start drilling. And I, as a patriot, you as a patriot, would hope that a Prime Minister has the cojones to do that. But we know it's not, because he is already a hostage to the very people that have brought him in from outside.
Absolutely.
And what was that bill, that benefits bill, 332 billion? And Starmer wanted to take off, what?
5 billion. 5 billion,
Yeah.
1.6%, and he couldn't do it. Ended up spending more money at the end of the debates in Parliament. He ended up spending more money than they were spending before they had the attempt to reduce it by 5 billion. It's absolutely appalling. And the welfare bill is precisely where they need to first focus. We have become a nation of welfare. 8 million people surviving on welfare. Pensions completely out of control. People say, well, they're entitled to their pension. They've worked all their lives to get it. Actually, that's not the truth. People who were on benefits, never paid into national insurance, are now getting pensions. Foreigners who've come to this country and got benefits are getting pensions. This has to stop. The country can't afford it.
And you know, when we were going on about this 3 years ago, and I said, if you don't look after an indigenous population, something will happen. People are fed up. I think for years, probably when we were better off, or maybe actually personally people weren't going, Christ, look at my energy bill. What were the Labour Party going to do? Cut £300 off your energy bill. Every energy bill, whatever Ed Miliband tells you, has increased. I think people have suddenly woken up to, oh, look, there's a man on the screen with it. What's he got? Has he got Starmer's personal belongings in that back sack? He's off, isn't he? But it's true, and I think that people, I've said it before about the silent majority, Ben, I think people are really hacked off, and I think that as things have started to bite, they've started to question decisions. And if he does this about, foreign aid to placate the backbenchers, or he doesn't get involved in a grooming gang inquiry because he doesn't want to upset the Muslim base that vote for the Labour Party unless they're running independently. If he does that, he'll show the British people again that he's another one out of the same mould. No conviction, no plan, and actually not the courage to upset a few people along the way.
It's continuity catastrophe, which is why I don't think the Burnham bounce is going to last. As soon as he's found out, which won't be long, certainly by the time they've done their first budget, you'll see that wane again. But, we've got a splintered political landscape, which is why I've had so many titles.
I've had a lot, most of them not printable. What do you make, just very quickly, my friend, it's always an absolute pleasure to have you, and what do you make of the Cabinet? Do you think I'm wrong or right? I think Ed Miliband will be made Foreign Secretary, out the way, promotion, just go and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, possibly. Any presence of Ed Miliband, however, on the side of the cabinet would be bad. We want him out of politics, ideally. But we want pretty much the entire cabinet out of politics, I imagine.
They reckon Angela Rayner, with her vape and a bottle of Wicked, she's going to be the Health Secretary.
That's terrific. It just makes you laugh, doesn't it? John Reynolds.
And the best bit of all is his right-hand woman, Louise Haigh, who's been systematic in getting support in Westminster, is going to return. I think she might be Chief Whip. She's a convicted fraudster, for Christ's sake, Ben.
It's extraordinary. The standards in British democracy now are so low that you can get a convicted fraudster being considered for a position in cabinet. Extraordinary.
And there she is on the boat, Angela, with her
that's right,
with her and that could be your next health secretary, ladies and gentlemen.
She wasn't convicted of fraudery. Of fraud. She was up for dodging tax, but for some reason was let
No, it was
off.
Louise Haig. Then we had the corruptions minister. She went for corruption. And then we had the housing minister who went because she was charging dodgy rates. Great. What do you make of Rachel Reeves? Is she toast or will she get a smaller job? What do you reckon?
It looks like she's toast. What's your view, Jeremy? I mean, we'll find out soon enough.
I just think she's... sorry, and people go, oh, that's really... I think she is quite possibly, along with Starmer, the worst chancellor, the most ill-prepared chancellor, the most lacking in anything as chancellor I've ever seen. And frankly, the two of them... But here's a question for you. How long will it be, Ben, before we yearn for the return of Keir Starmer because Burnham's so bad?
Well, I think we're yearning for a great statesman surrounded by Samsons who just deliver what this country needs. We all know, everyone in the country knows what we need, and no politician is prepared to really say it and do it.
Couldn't agree more. And just to give you a laugh to finish, my friend, because we love having you and your red wall. On Clive in Northampton, we were asking what Andy Burnham should be called. Clive says, I don't know, but if you put your Andys in hot water, you're bound to burn them. Ben Habib, you're a legend. We thank you so much indeed for being on the show. Bless you. 21 minutes past 7 o'clock. 0344 499 1000. Vinny, why do they always have a 10-year plan? Because that's how long they want, but they never get it. Julian in Newport, good morning. Can you imagine the meltdown the mainstream media and the blob will be having if Reform or the Tories shipped in someone to be the Prime Minister with no mandate and no idea what they do? Andy Burnham is no Labour Boris. He is going to be their Liz Truss. Interesting. Morning, Jez. Andy will not be true and straight, so can only say bend it like Burnham. His name is Andy Burden, because that is what he will be. Morning, Jez. Brett from Basingstoke here. Great show. I'm thinking about turning up to New Zealand on a flight and claiming asylum on economic grounds, as this Labour Party has driven me cost of living, bills up, everything's gone up. Do you think they'll give me a room in a 5-star hotel and a free mobile, 3 meals a day and medical cover? Or do you think they'll kick me up the backside and say, get out my country? Probably the later. Andy Burnham is like the young Carl from Disney Up. That's great, by the way. Jez, can you wish Tina... Well, I might become a message board here. Tina in Warrington... Oh, sorry, Tina? Oh, no, that's from Paula Warrington. Tina, happy birthday. Apparently she loves the show. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tina. Happy birthday to you. Is there a story in the paper this morning about a father who wanted to call his child Happy Birthday to You? By Depot, just to mess up the song somewhere. Morning, Jez and Pops. I used to pretend I was Joe 90 when I was young, putting a washing basket on my head and spinning it around. Great show as always, says Helen in Paynton, who's presumably never recovered from that traumatic child experience. Bills in Cheshire. Andy Pandy, the Flower Pot Men, Captain Pugwash, and one for you, Jeremy. Muffin the Mule. Christian, do you remember Muffin? He knows of Muffin. Sean, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Sean from Grimsby here. Andy Burnham comes in today, the new Prime Minister, because he's from the north. We're supposed to like him. We're supposed to come across a bit more friendly. No one knows anything about him, but what we do know is highly disturbing. One, he makes his tea the wrong way. He puts his milk tea bag in first. That's just wrong. It should be illegal. And any man who does that can't be trusted. And secondly, he's a socialist. And as we know, we're socialists, we're all the worse off. Socialism, mate. Ideas so good, they have to be mandatory. Great show, Jeremy.
this isn't the first time this has happened, and FIFA need to get serious about political sloganising at the World Cup. We've seen numerous examples of this. We've seen the pro-Palestine nonsense. We've now seen the Falkland Islands nonsense going on. If FIFA allow this to continue, they run the risk that the beautiful game is going to be politicised endlessly going forward. There should be a ban on Argentina going forward because of this behaviour, and the players, might need to be suspended as a result of this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 7:26. I thought we'd take stock a minute because Andy Burnham, of course, on his way to 10 Downing Street. He's getting... by the way, he said that he's only going to wear a shirt and tie as Prime Minister in the Commons. Does that mean he's going to turn up to see the King in the now famous black T-shirt? I don't know, it'd be interesting to see. We've sort of spent a lot of time saying goodbye to Keir Starmer, and today also is going to be quite emotional, peeps, because it seems quite certain we're going to say goodbye to Rachel Reeves as the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Now, we've been hunting for best bits. I like it when that bloke abused her on the forecourt of the petrol station. She said, "That's not very nice. I love my country. I love my country." He went, "Yeah, do one." Anyway, this was her advice for a future Chancellor from our Rach.
What would your advice be to anyone in the future taking on the role as Chancellor?
I'm not sure if anyone wants my advice.
No, they don't. That's why you're going to be sacked. I want to play that again. This lady ran the finances of our country for 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. What advice would you give as the chief economic person in the country for any successor, Rach? Go on, show us. Come on, Rach.
What would your advice be to anyone in the future taking on the role as Chancellor?
I'm not sure if anyone wants my advice.
No, they don't. It is utterly extraordinary, isn't it? It is utterly extraordinary, and I'm not being disrespectful, how incompetent so many of these people are. She, of course, said she was a global economist. She turned out to be a filing clerk, an accounts clerk, allegedly. We had the old... do you remember Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary? I used to be a solicitor. Oh, I didn't. Sorry, I was lying. Made that up. OK, fair enough. 0344 499 1000. Let's say a very good morning. Always good to get balance. He represents one of the best places in the land, God's country, North Northumberland. David Smith is a Labour MP who's... I suggest you're in a good mood today as the Messiah comes down from the north.
In a great mood. Thanks very much, Chairman. You're right. I do represent one of the most beautiful parts of the country.
Whereabouts do you cover Hexham?
No, that's the neighbouring constituency. But I've got the whole coastline from, if you think about Morpeth, all the way up to Berwick. So places like Bamborough, Seahouses, Craster.
So my very best friend lives in Heddon on the Wall. So listen, I know the area brilliantly. It's an absolutely fantastic part of Great Britain, God's country. David, we might be different politically, but we can appreciate the good things about this country. Can I ask you on a serious note? Andy Burnham. And I'm not being disrespectful when I say this. It took you and 400 of your colleagues to go outside the Parliamentary Labour Party to fly somebody in to replace a man that you'd patently lost patience with. Was there no talent within the PLP to stand up and be counted?
There's a huge amount of talent within the PLP. A different scenario could have seen a different leader coming in, a different Prime Minister about to be announced today. There are some great people in the PLP, but I'm personally pleased that I nominated Andy, so obviously I am pleased that he's going to be the new Prime Minister. But
you nominated him, did you?
Yes, along with 379 at the last count, I believe, of the PLP. So
why did you? What is it about Andy Burnham? Give my viewers and listeners a feel. What is it about him? Because it would be fair to say, and I understand politics, we've not had any meat on the bone yet, and I'm sure he'll do that when he's there. But what is it about him that gives you hope as a Labour MP?
It's a good combination of understanding both how Westminster works. So let's not forget that he's been a Member of Parliament, for the last couple of weeks, but he'd been a Member of Parliament for 17 years prior to that, including holding some, big offices of state. Then he's gone away. He's run one of our biggest cities for 8 years. So he's got that nice balance between understanding how the system works within Westminster, but also how the world works outside of Westminster, outside of that bubble that we often talk about. I think that's good. I think he's got a great communication style. I think he's been on the ground with people for those last 8-9 years. And I think he's grown and matured, and he's probably one of the most experienced people coming into the role of Prime Minister that we've had in the last 30 years. So that's, a good start.
One of the things that obviously people will talk about incessantly, and I'm sure you get this in Northumberland, if you go and knock on the doors in your constituents, and in fact, Carl Turner said to me the other day, almost everybody in my constituency, I would suspect that most people, David, would say, you need to stop the boats, you need to drill in the North Sea because it's a natural resource, and stop this madness whereby Norway can drill and then we buy it off them, because people's energy bills, both personally and in terms of business, are destroying jobs and destroying the economy and people's lives. You need to attack a welfare budget bill that, let's be perfectly honest, for the first time in British political history outstrips what the Exchequer gets from people who work. Now, Starmer tried that. He couldn't even knock $5 billion off. And something that I'm really strong about is the grooming stroke rape gang inquiry. Do you think, in your knowledge of the situation, that Andy Burnham has got the political capital or the verve or the will to announce any of those four today?
Announces them today or not, we'll see, won't we, in short order. But I do think that all of those are issues that he will grasp the nettle on. He's already begun to indicate over the last few days and weeks about, his acknowledgement, really, that those are some of the biggest issues that he's got to deal with, that any incoming Prime Minister has got to deal with.
But my point is, I'm not being rude, and I really love having you on, and I appreciate it. Your party, you and your mates, would not allow Keir Starmer to knock $5 billion, which is 1.6% off a budget, a welfare budget bill. And I get it, because they all jump up and down and say, what about the disabled people and the mentally ill? When am I going to hear a Labour politician admit the truth, which is the concept of welfare, I think, is fantastic, and I'm really happy to go to work to do it. But I do think we've reached a point, David, where your party, if it doesn't do this soon enough, is going to be in trouble, and stand up and say there are people gaming the system, and that means real people are missing out. Why does the Labour Party seem incapable of admitting that, my friend?
I don't think we are incapable of admitting that welfare has got out of control. I think, Keir Starmer admitted that, so I'm not sure I would understand it in the same way as you're characterising it.
But then why were you not allowing, why did the PLP not allow a $5 billion cut?
I think you could speak to a range of members of the Parliamentary Labour Party, and they'll give you slightly different answers, Jeremy. I'm sure you have done already. What I would say is, for me, I was uncomfortable at the time with the way that it was being done. I'm absolutely comfortable, and was comfortable at the time, for us to reduce the welfare bill. And a lot of my colleagues, I would say a majority of my colleagues, are too. The thing that I didn't like about the way it was done last time was it was something of an arbitrary cut. It was a kind of, here's a block of $5 billion that we want to save. I think instead of that, we need a complete review of our entire social security system. We had the Beveridge report after the Second World War, and they looked at all of the ways in which the country sets up to support people when they hit a hard point in their life, whether that be, statutory sick pay, or whether it be
David, with respect, do you think, and we're having an honest political discussion, it's great, your party's famous for reviews and quangos and kicking the thing. I think the British people, right, the British people, if I quote you what Pat McFadden said, which I think was more of a nail in Starmer's coffin, I have to say, than the Defence Secretary, he said, everywhere I go about this bloody government, all people do is ask, who can we tax? Does the Labour Party understand? Not the people on benefits, not the millionaires and the people that, have left this country because we've got the highest tax in 70 years. Does Labour understand what I call working class, working alarm clock Brits, who are simply saying this to you and your new leader? We're out of money, mate. Our energy bills, our mortgages, everything is too much. I'm working like a dog. My wife's working like a dog. We can't even afford a takeaway on a Friday, and certainly not a holiday. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not doing anything wrong, and yet I feel unfairly treated. I feel like I am not being given the respect that I deserve. I feel that not a popular thing with the Labour Party. Illegal migrants get treated better. I feel that the feckless unemployed, not the people who are mentally ill disabled, but the ones who are gaming the system, are getting more than me. Why should I live my life correctly when it all seems against me? That's what I'd like to hear from a Labour politician.
I should understand that, Jeremy. We live in the real world, believe it or not. You know, we speak to friends, we spend... I mean, I'm going to spend the rest of this week after this interview, literally after this interview, in my constituency all week this week, just meeting people. So, of course, we understand that. But I don't think... I think you're slightly mischaracterising what I was saying about a review, which is that it's not a case of, well, let's review something and bump it down the road. People are frustrated because politics and, you know, society and the economy is not working, and it hasn't worked for, if we're honest, decades. And in order to change things, you've got to fundamentally change things. That's why when I say about a review of our social security system, we've got to say, what is an appropriate social security system for the 21st century? We're still operating on, you know, one that was really not even fit for the end of the 20th century. So it doesn't have to take long. You know, you can get eminent people in, you can have a royal commission, you can say, there's 9 months, work out what we need for the 21st century social security system, do it. And also with a view to, you know, saving money. But, you know, if you do that properly, there might be some support that actually increases and some decreases. But we're operating this old, tired system that isn't working anymore. And that's why...
Are you surprised that your man Starmer, with the biggest majority post-war, was, from what you've just said, not able to foresee or look and go, that needs dealing with? I mean, Burnham talks about 10 years. They all talk like that. That's fine. Maybe he'll succeed, maybe he won't. But, I mean, if you look at the latest Mandelson files, it shows this government at war with itself amid huge frustrations over the welfare benefits bill. Do you think the Labour Party of the last 2 years failed the electorate on what they promised?
A big question. I think only history will answer that properly. I don't think that we have gone fast enough. I don't think that we've been bold enough. And I think that's the part of the reason, the biggest part of the reason why we've had a change of leader and a change of Prime Minister. That's part of the reason why I'm hopeful about Andy coming in. But yeah, I mean, we can't turn around and say everything has gone well. There's been some great things that have happened over the last couple of years. I think, in a way, history will be a lot kinder to Keir Starmer than it has been recently, because he's put in place some important building blocks, but we've not gone quick enough, and I don't think we can hide from that. And at times we've not been bold enough, and I think that's why we've got a change today.
So this next comment is slightly tongue-in-cheek. Does Andy Burnham give you hope in your heart?
Well, it's a well-known line from a well-known song, especially if you're a Scouser. I mean, look, yes is the short answer. I'm more hopeful today and over the last couple of weeks than I have been for quite some time.
Do you know what? I love having you on here. You're absolutely honest. So just 2 other questions. Are you expecting a job? Are you expecting a call today?
No, is the short answer.
Oh, damn.
I mean, like, I'm not, genuinely not. And you know, some people I'm sure will be. I'm not. I'm delighted. Genuinely, I do the best job I've ever done in my life. I've done some brilliant jobs working in the charity sphere, in homelessness and in peacemaking and international development. I actually love my job, and it's honestly the best.
If I was an MP in Northumberland, I'd be in that bloody constituency every day. It's a great place. Do you think that Ed Miliband will be the Foreign Secretary, as I predict, and that Mahmood will be the Chancellor? Because I think he'll send Ed Miliband off in a semi-promotion to keep him out of the way.
I've got no special insight, to be honest, Jeremy. I would think that Ed would stay inside the cabinet somewhere. I don't know where. It looks, doesn't it, that Shabana will be Chancellor.
And so Rachel Reeves, bye-bye for Rachel. Is that the end for Rachel from accounts?
I don't think so necessarily. It probably depends on Rachel's desire to move to the side, or, you know, to have a job obviously that's less prestigious than Chancellor. But you know what I want to see, and I think what Andy is hoping to do is try to pull the party back together, and to have an end of factionalism. And I would totally support that, and I would support anybody with the right skills getting the right job.
David, can I just say, I really, and I mean this, mate, I love having you on. We really appreciate your balance. And I do hope the phone rings today for you. If it doesn't, just enjoy Northumberland. The brilliant David Smith, MP Labour for North Northumberland. 20 minutes to 8. This is Talk Breakfast. Alison, good morning.
Do you honestly think that Mr. Burnham will give any of the money that he gains from drilling in the North Sea to the UK people or to go against the debt? I don't think he will. I think he'll give it away, like he's going to do with everything else. But that's just me. What do you think?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. 18 minutes to 7 o'clock. We're like, not even 8 o'clock. We're live across the UK. Talk Breakfast is on between now and 10. 0344 499 1000. Alan Guppy says, I hate this government for calling us the ordinary working people. What happened to us being workers of the nation? Alan's in Swansea. Keith says, massive congrats to Andy Burnham, who today takes the office as Britain's last ever Prime Minister. Johannes in Salisbury. Morning, Jez. Do you think Burnham has got the cojones to put all the past PM's pictures back in place in number 10? Are you joking? He won't be putting Thatcher's back. Morning, Sarah.
Morning, Jez. A great show. Just out with the dog on a lovely, beautiful, somewhat fresher morning, which is lovely. I'm dreading today when the girl with eyebrows comes into number 10. I've said it from when Starmer handed in his notice. It's better the devil you know. And he, I kind of would have been happier for him to stay in role. This man, I don't know what's going to happen. Oh gosh, I'm just batten down the hatches because it's going to be a show. Sorry about the language, and I don't know.
Good morning, 17 minutes to. Thank you, Sarah. I was just so my eyes were turned momentarily to the Argentinian football coach who burst into tears and had to walk out of his press conference. Listen, I'm not anti anything, but they are the dirtiest football team I've ever seen in my life. 0344 499 1000. Let's go to former Conservative government minister. This is brilliant. Steve Baker, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Thank you for having me on. Great to be here.
Monumental day, Steve. Keir's going, and in comes the man from the north who's got absolutely bugger all mandate from the British people. But Andy Burnham, or Vermin as he's really called, will accede to the biggest job in the land, and only 25,000 people voted for him. It's an absolute sham, isn't it, Steve?
Yes, of course it is, and it's got all the fun of the circus there on Downing Street today, and hubris has started to kick in. We hear he'll be dispensing with a shirt and tie and wearing a T-shirt.
Do you think he'll wear a T-shirt to meet the King? Because he has said, I'm not going to wear a shirt and tie unless I'm Prime Minister, unless I'm in the Commons. Is he going to pitch up in jeans and a T-shirt to the monarch?
Well, I suppose he could. What His Majesty would think of it, we'll never find out, because that's the way it works. But it'd be quite wrong. I don't think your listeners will be very pleased to see their Prime Minister meet His Majesty in a T-shirt. Would be quite wrong. But it's hubris, you know. They think everything's different because it's them this time. And I think within a few hours, they'll find that everything's very difficult. And so we'll see how it goes, I suppose, in the course of the week.
I understand that when Prime Ministers and politicians make general speeches, it's all a bit fluffy and wonderful, and I want to be the king of the north and the south and the east and the west. What people want to know is, can he, and if so, how, improve real people's lives? Can he stand up to those Labour MPs and the Parliamentary Labour Party and go, I don't care if you wouldn't let Starmer kick $5 billion off a $332 billion bill. The truth of the matter is, right, if we want to ever be re-elected, because you see that headline, Burnham doesn't speak for us, say voters in the South, we're going to have to answer what the voters want, which is an end to the illegal immigration problem. They want their energy bills down, which means ditch net zero and drill in the bloody North Sea. It means attack welfare and get out of your heads that everybody on benefits is mentally ill or disabled. Do you think he either believes that or has the political capital to do that, Steve?
I don't think he really believes it, and I very much doubt he's got the political capital. But let's face it, he won't be asking MPs to do anything until September, by which time they'll have deepened and entrenched all their views and they'll be ready for a fight. So, you know, really, if he brought MPs back and had them sit through and do a few things while he was riding high, he might get on. It might be able to get something through. But he's been in talks with the Treasury over the weekend, we understand, about the cost of living and what he can announce. I know what the Treasury will have said. It will be, how do you propose that we pay for that, Prime Minister? He wants to not frighten the bond markets. He's trapped within a whole range of contradictions. And, you know, it doesn't really give me any pleasure to say that I think he will fail. The only good thing about it is, once his ideology of the big state has failed, I mean, it's back to the ideas of the 1970s. Once it's failed, we can do something different. And I don't really mind now who does something different, as long as we go for smaller government, lighter taxes, lower regulations, and for goodness sake, dealing with the boats, whatever it takes.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, this morning, front page of all the papers, I mean, there's already been a backlash. Old dumb Lucy Powell, the Deputy Prime Minister, de facto, she says, we will absolutely follow the manifesto when it comes to drilling, which means they won't drill, despite the fact old Trump overnight said you better drill. And she's also has defended plans via Burnham to more than double foreign aid at the cost of $11 billion a year. You're a man of the people. You're like me, right? How the hell do they expect the British people to swallow? We're going to double foreign aid, but you lot we're going to screw to the ground with tax. I don't understand, Steve, how politicians think they can get away with this crap anymore, because they can't.
Well, I don't understand how they think they can either, because people haven't been getting away with it for years. I mean, it's signalling to various photo blocks, and unfortunately, it's the worst way to govern. The reason that the ship of state has been bobbing about like a cork and failing to achieve the things it needs to achieve is because there's been a lack of serious keel on the ship. We need prime ministers and ministers, well, any one prime minister would do, who just believe in something and believe in the right things, which is the freedom of the British people to get on and make their own life, to live in a secure environment, to have control over the borders and so on, more of their own money. People who actually are resolute around the correct ideas which go with the grain of how society works and then see it through. Instead, you end up with virtue signalling, trying to give different voter groups what they say they want, and it doesn't work and it leads to failure. And I'm afraid what is happening here is politicians are being led by the polls instead of what they know to be right.
You know, it's really interesting. There's an analogy in my mind between politics and that bloody England football team, and I'm not even joking. I know that last Wednesday is symptomatic of a British mentality, which is it's better to not be expansive and lose, better to play it tight, and if we lose, then we haven't thrown it away. My mindset, I don't know if you're a golf fan, there's a guy called Ryan Fox from New Zealand who won the British Open yesterday. Completely different mindset. He said, I'm never going to be in this position again, mate, and for 6 holes I'm going to... And he did, and he won it. And that is a bit like politics. I want a politician that goes, do you know what? I can follow polls and all that for 5 years and something will happen and I'll be gone. Or I can put my neck on the line and go, do you know what? This is what I believe in. And if you want to follow me, follow me. I'm going to tell you day and night what, the good, the bad and the ugly. Maybe we'll achieve something, but at least at the end of the 5 years, I can look in a mirror and go, I stood by what I believe in. We don't get that anymore, Steve. We don't get it.
Well, Jeremy, my favourite sport is skydiving, and I can assure your listeners that when you skydive, you're absolutely all in. You get ready before you go, you know what you're going to do. You're absolutely certain when you're in the plane that you are ready to get out of the plane. and then it is absolutely all
When
on the
you
line to
sorry,
do the right thing.
sorry, I love you dearly. I love you dearly, Baker. It's hardly a sport. You don't dive against somebody. You're just a nutter, aren't you? That jumps out of planes. What are you talking
No,
about?
of course, it's a sport. No, formation skydiving, you score points for the manoeuvres that you pull and so forth. So, yeah, it's absolutely a sport. There's competitions, there's world championships. It's a terrific,
Does it not scare the bits off you?
Only the first few times.
I'm never, ever doing that. I suffer from heights, claustrophobia. It'd be a nightmare. Steve
Everyone
Baker.
should skydive.
Yeah, listen, that's why I play golf. Listen, you're a legend. I really appreciate you being on. We love you being a regular on the show. Steve Baker, ex-government minister, thank you. 10 to 8. We're live across the United Kingdom. In the next hour, Sarah Pochin will talk from a reform point of view. It's a massive, massive day. Here's a man, as the former press secretary to Her Majesty, the late Majesty Queen, and former journalist. He'll know all about the formulas of what makes today work, or in other words, not work. Dickie Arbiter, the legend, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Well, you know, sort of hacked off, really. The football was crap. I didn't watch last night, the dirty Argentinians. I'm disappointed in England. I'm one of those...
I watched last night.
You what?
I watched last night just for the glory of seeing the Argentines beaten.
They were dirty after the final whistle, weren't they?
Dirty? Goodness me, they were dirty throughout the tournament.
Good, I love you. Arbiter doesn't care anymore. He's gone rogue. Dickie, today, before we talk about Harry and Meghan, can we talk about the protocol today? Because many people are saying, and I know this from the old man, that there's you know, at the end of the Mall, what's the building that's still being reconstructed with the windows? What is that building? Is it Portcullis House?
I think it's still called Buckingham Palace.
No, the other end. Not Buckingham Palace. The other end, before you go to Trafalgar Square. What is it?
Admiralty building.
I know that as Starmer drives through, the new Prime Minister's in there waiting, and they say sits on a chair and watches, and then Starmer comes back, and for 11 minutes there's no Prime Minister. What does the King do on a day like today? Will he say, sorry, it all went wrong for you, or is it all very formal, or is it quite nice?
He's nice. He's always nice. He doesn't rub people up the wrong way. He did sometimes as the Prince of Wales, but as King, no, he does things properly. He's nice. And he'll make polite conversation with Starmer, say goodbye, and wait to be introduced to Andy Burnham, whom he actually knows.
He knows Andy Burnham. Why does he know Andy Burnham?
Well, he had dealings with Andy Burnham, albeit through correspondence, when Burnham was Health Secretary in 2009. The King wrote to him about complementary medicine, and Burnham took it on board. But they met last year in October. Charles went up to meet first responders. And again in March this year, he went to look at a recycling plant. So they've had contact fairly recently.
We will never talk about the politics of the King, but he'd probably be more sympathetic towards an Andy Burnham than I would, wouldn't he?
He won't show his sympathies. He'll be very polite. He'll be politeness personified. But you'll never know what he's actually thinking when he meets the person.
Interesting. Listen, Harry and Meghan, many people were summarily shocked a week ago when that secret summit happened at Highgrove with his dad, and we talked before last week about how I think that ticked a box and the dad had sort of sussed it out a little bit. Shocking news over the weekend, Kinsey was talking about an hour ago. It seems the American dream and bubble has burst, and they now want to come over here a lot more often, including Meghan, who's up for it. How's that going to work then?
I'm not sure it is going to work. You know, they left under a cloud. They blackened the cloud in the 6 years that they've been in the States. It hasn't worked for them. They've been entitled throughout their time in the States. Everything that they've done has kind of failed. Okay, there are those who say, well, the Oprah interview wasn't a failure. It was a failure. The Netflix series was a failure. Spare, well, it was successful in terms of money. But Meghan's Jam project, I think there are a lot of jars still on the shelf, aren't there?
I find it because I care about the royal family so much, and because you know, the King is living with cancer and he's a grandfather and all that, and I know exactly what those two are. But just if you step back and you go, sorry, you lot are now going to want to spend more time in a country you found abhorrent, sucking up to an institution that you called racist. Suddenly your kids, the prince and princess, you want those titles. It is complete hypocrisy by both of them. And again, a bit like politicians, Do they not suss out that the British public, the silent majority, have an opinion of them that, frankly, isn't going to change?
It's not going to change, and Harry more so probably thinks, based on his recent visits, that he comes back to the UK, kisses and makes up, and everybody loves him. It seems as though they want to come back and they want the best of both worlds, that Harry's grandmother, the Queen, forbade them.
And she did. She said, you're either in or you're out, because with those, they do no work and they want everything that comes with being a royal. And that's the point. That's the crux of the matter, isn't it, Dickie?
It is the crux of the matter, and the king is not going to bend on that. He is a softie when it comes to his own children, but the decision was made by his mother in 2020, and that stands. They're either in or they're out, but they can't do royal engagements here in the UK and then push off across the pond and do commercial work. It's just not an option.
It's quite interesting. Just on the basis of that meeting, reading quite a lot about it. Camilla was there, allegedly, it said, to make sure that he wasn't softened up, because she's very much in the William camp, isn't she?
She's in the William camp, particularly after all the sort of things that Harry wrote and said about her. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. She probably contributed nothing in terms of vocalising, but the looks would have told him everything. And she's good to be on side, quite frankly, and she will keep Charles in the straight and narrow in terms of what Harry can do and what he can't do. I mean, if he thinks it's half in and half out, forget it.
Just very quickly, and she, I say it every time, the respect I now have for that woman who was vilified, but what she's done is what Harry and Meghan refused to do, which is get your head down and work and don't complain and give and give and give, and that's how it works, right?
Exactly how it works. She was vilified for years. Anybody vilified like that, most people would have walked away and said, I don't want this. But no, she was determined. She was going to have her man was going to have her, and she just kept her head down and got on with it. And today, everybody respects her.
Dickie Arbiter, we love you, me especially. Thank you so much indeed. Enjoy your Monday. Dickie Arbiter, former press secretary to Her Majesty the Queen. It's almost 8 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. Sarah Pochin, the First Lady of Reform, kicks off the next hour on Talk Breakfast.
We've got some breaking news that has just come in. TalkSport have announced a brand new partnership in a developing story. We hear they've created So Good Lager right in time for football's big summer. Just in, we're hearing that So Good Lager will be pouring pints across all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. With the big kickoff just around the corner, you can find out where to get your hands on a fresh pint of So Good Lager at talksport.com/lager.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk. UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
welcome along and welcome back. It's gone 8 o'clock. What is it? It's Monday, the 20th of July, the beginning of Factory Fortnight, which means most people are on holiday. We're not. We're here every single day, talking common sense and giving you a chance to get your views on the day's news, packed to the rafters outside Downing Street because, of course, in a little over 3 hours, Sir Dreary Starmer, his time as the Prime Minister of this country will end as he's driven to Buckingham Palace to be told to the King it's time to bugger off. That's your live shot at the front of 10 Downing Street. We've seen removal vans, we've seen cleaners, we've seen Larry the Cat looking hacked off. That'll all be happening. We've got Peter Cardwell. Peter Cardwell live from number 10. He'll be there later. I don't know why. I see. Is he in there? Can we see Peter Cardwell? Is he in the massed ranks? No, he's not out of bed yet. Anyway, also, later on, fact, not fiction, we will get Samara Gill. A little Australian lovely lady should be outside Buckingham Palace giving us a version of what happens. What will happen is Starmer goes, Burnham comes, Burnham then does the speech, promising the world to everybody, north, south, east, west, all over the place. He's coming in the car, though, not in a penny farthing, and he has said he's not going to wear a shirt and tie as Prime Minister unless he's in the Commons, so we're wondering whether he's going to see the King in that famous black T-shirt. But on a serious note, right, you can be as woolly as you want. Already, front page of The Sun, turmoil. Trump is saying, right, Trump is quite rightly saying, drill, Andy, drill. No. Lucy Powell, his assistant, soon-to-be deputy, well, she is deputy leader, has defended plans to not drill and defended plans to more than double the foreign aid budget from 11 billion to 11 million. And I sit here every day, right, and I try and work out why people perhaps just don't understand common sense. You are saying to the British public, Andy Burnham, before you've started, via your spokespeople, I know your energy bills are really costing. I know you're concerned about illegal migration and what happened to those girls with the grooming gangs. And I know you're concerned about the welfare budget bill. But what I'm going to do first and foremost is double the foreign aid budget. That, my friend, sums up why people feel that this country is at a point where it's unfair. Let's spare a thought also not only for Keir Starmer today, but if you look next door, pretty sure that Rachel Thieves is going to lose the job as Chancellor of the Exchequer. The Cabinet will be announced later. And in sort of tribute of Rachel, let's play you her finest/unfinest moment, exclusive to Talk. Enjoy.
Keir Starmer, we're going to get arrested. We've got English flags on here, Rachel. We're going to get arrested. You're ruining the country. Get Keir Starmer out. Look, England flags. You're useless. Labour Party's useless.
I love our country, and one of the things about our country is good manners. Not very British.
Bye, Rach. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. What are your thoughts? Who will be in the cabinet? Will he succeed? Am I being cynical? Also, we'll talk football. OK. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Dirty. I'm sorry. And I just walked through TalkSport. Dirty. Dirty throughout the tournament, but afterwards punching all the players. Glad you lost. I promise you one thing. Be interesting to see the Argentinian players coming into the Premier League next season. Some of it's great, though. Donald Trump refused to leave the stage when the Spanish were getting the cup. It's my thing. I'm going to do it. He wouldn't move, despite me. But also the shameless BBC airing this nauseating 4-minute big budget ad saying, pay your licence fee. We're fantastic. That about sums them up. Right. Let's go to a lady who is so dedicated to her job, and I say this for a reason. She's on holiday at a secret location, but she's come on air because she's dedicated to what she does. Sarah Poachin, bonjour! Comment ça va? Ça va bien et tout?
I'm actually in North Wales, and my Welsh is terrible, so I'm not going to attempt
it. Lovely. How are you doing, Sarah? I can't do that either. Have you found Christian's dad yet in North Wales? He still hasn't found him.
Oh, well, I should go have a look later.
I do thank this lady, though. She's on. You look very well. Have you been in the sun? Have you been enjoying yourself?
I did actually sit in the sun yesterday. I think I caught it. I'm looking a bit better.
Let me ask you the holiday question, which I know you'll share with me. When you were sitting in the sun, did you have a bottle of rosé with you, Poachin?
I couldn't possibly comment.
No. OK. Today's a very important day. All of you on holiday, but Andy Burnham, or Andy Vermin, as he is already known on this show, accedes to the most powerful job in the land via a coup. We can stop talking about that and talk about the reality, Sarah. We've talked incessantly, and Reform have been at the forefront of this, about what really matters in this country: immigration, the welfare benefits bill, net zero, drilling, you know, a bill that finally serves justice for the victims of those rape gang inquiries. But But he's not going to mention any of that, or so I hear, because actually he's hamstrung despite the fact that they've called him in to do the job. It's interesting, isn't it?
Well, look, the two biggest issues that I get on the doorstep, and as you know, I spend hours and hours of my time knocking on doors, talking to people. The first one is immigration. Andy Burnham has not told us what he's going to do to stop the boats. In fact, even more worrying, we hear, don't we, that he is going to dumb down, possibly even reverse Shabama Mahmood's policy on extending the leave to remain from 5 years to 10 years. His backbenchers already revolting over that, Jeremy. Labour is split on immigration terribly, and he's not telling us what he's going to do. The second thing, biggest issue on the doorstep, is the safety of women and girls in this country. And what do we hear this morning? We hear that David Lammy and the Ministry of Justice is trying to stop the publication of foreign migrant crime figures in this country, because they know that the publication of those figures will tell the nation exactly what I have been telling everybody, and that is that these illegal migrants are far more likely to commit crimes, particularly sexual crimes against women and girls in this country, and they don't want the evidence published.
David Lammy and the Justice Department are trying to what? Cover that up? Why? Well, because they know that people would go, yeah, that's ridiculous, isn't it? That's awful.
Yeah, so when I say in my several, various interviews that, for example, it's much more likely, 20 times more likely, that an Afghan migrant will rape a white woman in this country. They don't want to hear that. They call me racist, but it's fact. And the figures that will show that as evidence due to be published are being stopped by David Lammy.
Can I ask you as a woman something I've been dying to, and if I've asked you before, it's just the old age is setting in. There are various sort of left-wing commentators, and my thing about debate is we should be able to spend our time, and then there's a couple of particular female commentators you can read about online, and their response to what you've just said, and I've seen it, unlike your response as a woman and a mother, is white men rape girls as well. What do you say to that?
So does that make that okay? Of course we know that it is not only, ethnic minorities that rape. The point is that we are being invaded on a daily basis. It doesn't matter how Labour try and dress it up. All the deals with France have failed. The boats are still coming. They say that they are decreasing the overstayers here. Well, those are visa overstayers. We're talking about the invasion of young fighting-age men into these shores with a medieval attitude towards women and girls. I'm sorry, I'm going to call it out for what it is. That has got to stop.
Completely agree.
Going back to Burnham, he said nothing about that. He said nothing about the general safety of women and girls and what he's going to do to protect us. But also, let's look at his overall stance. He is going to take this country back half a century into the 70s, a time that a lot of people in this country, a lot of voters in this country won't remember, won't know about that. They won't remember the strikes, the power that Burnham is going to give back to the unions. Burnham already scrapping the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology. How concerning is that? And you know why? Because the unions want to defend jobs. The unions do not want to see progress. So this country will be left behind once again. We are already behind, but we'll be left behind once again in that advancement in the areas of AI, for example.
I couldn't agree more, and I do find it frightening. I mean, it keeps being reiterated to me. The way this has been stitched up by the Labour Party, you lot are all on holiday. Not you. I mean, Christ, you deserve a holiday more than anybody I know, but it'll be 6 weeks before the self-styled king of the North, South, East, West and Northern Ireland, Wales and Scotland, we've had everywhere, is actually going to be answerable. And so you do fear that this sort of stitch-up... he has no mandate from the British people. And that is extraordinary. By anybody's standards. Extraordinary. But I personally feel like the gloss will come off quite quickly, but as a patriot, I guess I want it to work. But my 10-year UK plan in the Times today, it's not going to get 10 years. The gloss will come off because he's not prepared to cut the benefits bill. The Parliamentary Labour Party won't let him. We need defence. He hasn't got the money. We did all of this, and you know, you've got Starmer going, I've left the country better than I found it. I still go with Pat McFadden, and I know you picked up on this when he did it, and he undercover, they said, all I ever get asked, he said, wherever I go in this bloody government is, who can we tax more? And that's the truth, isn't it? Total truth.
Well, and what have we heard from Burnham? We've heard that he's going to increase the foreign aid budget by 0.7%.
Yeah.
Earlier this week, we heard, didn't we, that this government is giving £153 million to Pakistan for foreign aid, and yet they won't take back that vile rapist, that rape gang perpetrator. We should be stopping all foreign aid to any countries that will not take back their criminals, because we don't want them here, Jeremy. And we know under this Labour government, they get let out onto the streets earlier and earlier to carry on and committing those crimes. So, yeah, he knows he's going to increase foreign aid, but where is his plan to increase defence spending? Another key issue on the doorstep is the fact that people know that this country currently cannot defend itself. We are utterly reliant on the United States of America for defence. That is unacceptable.
Completely agree. What about this, Sweet? You'll love this. Page 11 of The Sun. Strictly lessons for boat migrants. Asylum seekers of Britain's biggest migrant camp are receiving dance therapy and cricket coaching funded by the taxpayer and charities because, let's be honest, sitting in a four-star hotel is quite boring when your wife is at home being bombed. Oh, no, sorry, they're not being bombed. Anyway, seriously, and you know what? When I ask you, just to say, what annoys me about that is parties like Reform and other parties get told it's just populist, it's divisive. No, it's talking about the bloody things that matter. And if alarm clock Brits are listening to that right now and they're going, free lessons in dancing, free lessons in cricket, this, that and the other, and I'm struggling to pay my bills. It's not fair, Sarah. It's not fair.
But look, you know, Andy Burnham and his so-called legacy as King of the North has left Greater Manchester child deprivation rates at 47%. 47%, Jeremy, child deprivation in Greater Manchester. And yet he's happy, no doubt, to sanction dancing lessons for illegal migrants. For goodness sake, what is this country coming to? The British people can't stomach anymore. No. They want those illegal migrants detained and deported, and they should be held in effectively, you know, like army barrack type conditions. Well, even that is not good enough for them. Our great servicemen out there deserve so much better than these vile, you know, individuals that want to come in and rape our women and girls. But no, what do? We give them dance lessons and, you know...
If it wasn't so mad to anybody with a shred of common sense in their head, it would be... to me, it's unbelievable that a succession of governments, a succession of SPADs and advisors haven't got the ability or the foresight to make that out. One thing I want to say about Burnham, again, a lot of words, and maybe we'll be wrong, I don't think we will. He says, there's going to be a difference with me. I am not going to out-green the Greens or out-reform or wear Tory clothes. I'm going to be distinctly and unashamedly Labour. What does that mean to you, Sarah?
Well, let's wait and see. Distinctly and unashamedly Labour to me means socialism on steroids. It means nationalisation of as many of our industries as possible. It means power back to the unions. It means strikes. And it won't be long at all before the Burnham bubble bursts. And what people actually realise is that all of this policy will never create growth. Whether you like it or not, under the Thatcher era, Thatcher came in after the disaster that was the unionisation and the strikes of the 70s.
You're not old enough. I tell them this every day and they look at me like I've landed from Mars, right? Every union wanted 30%, and if the Labour government didn't because they couldn't afford it because they printed money and the IMF told them to do one, what happened was that they went on strike. We had ambulance workers on strike. We had the army driving green goddesses picking up your rubbish. This is a fact. Hospitals were overrun. The country, we had 3-day nights where you couldn't have electricity, blackouts. We had all of this going on. And people now go, oh, yeah, it was terrible because the unions are in control. And listen, am I supposed to believe that the Labour Party will change? They'll tell you I don't buy it. The truth of the matter is that the Tories were no good at the end. The truth of the matter is the Labour Party will spend every single penny and then some on everything that they've promised, either union-based or whatever, to get to power. They'll raise taxes and at the end of the day they'll skint the country. That's the way it is.
But the important thing to understand as well, in my opinion, about this Labour government, and particularly about Andy Burnham, is that he's all about state control. State control stops wealth creation, it stops aspiration. So there's no mention from Andy Burnham, is there, about what he's going to do about the million young people between 16 and 24 that are on benefits with no hope of getting a job, in fact, don't even want to get off the sofa. Well, you know, and the point is that it's about stopping. Look at his council house policy, Jeremy. Yes, he wants to build council houses, but you can't buy them anymore like you could under Thatcher. He wants to control the population, keep wealth limited. He will drive away the wealth creators. And you're right, we're already bankrupt. Well, he's just going to accelerate the process.
So from your holiday home in North Wales, you're obviously not expecting a call because you're not in the Labour Party. What do we think? What's Sarah's prediction? The SP starting price poaching. Do you see what I did there? Who do you think's going? Who do you think's going to go where? Do you want to know what I think? You can laugh at me. I think he'll sidetrack Ed Miliband by making him Foreign Secretary. I think Shabana Mahmood will be Chancellor. I'm confused about Yvette Cooper, only because Ed Balls is smiling a lot on Good Morning Britain, which is a nauseating thing to behold. But I just wonder, she's already been Home Secretary and failed. Wes Streeting, does he get defence? Pat McFadden? Or just do you not care?
What concerns me greatly is the generally poor standard of the people we're talking about. We're talking about great offices of state. And one of the most important things I would imagine as a Prime Minister walking through the doors of Number 10 is that he can immediately choose and surround himself with excellent people such that he knows that he can leave. For example, you talked about the foreign office going to Ed Miliband. God help us all, because I tell you what, at the moment, the Foreign Office is a really important place. We have to have somebody who can stand with gravitas on a global stage. Well, God help this country if that's Ed Miliband.
I think you're being slightly harsh, because there are very strong rumours this morning, SP, that Angela Rayner, who likes a bottle of Wicked and a vape, is going to be our new health secretary. Doesn't that put her in a position where she does indeed... she can show that she has some experience of the problems health-wise in the United Kingdom. There she is in a boat. Look at that, with a vape. Lovely.
You are being nasty now, Jeremy, but the point is...
Not at all. There's a picture. I'm not being nasty. She's got a bottle of Wicked and a vape. She's going to be the next health secretary for Christ. Look, there she is, downing a pint. I mean, honestly, really...
The thing about a reform government is we are going to bring in industry experts, and that is what you need to run the country. Look, Angela, look at her there. That can't possibly be our new health secretary.
Oh, sorry, I've just had Angela Rayner's PR on. It's a glass of wine. It's not a beer at all. It's a glass of... what was that stuff we used to wash our car tyres with? Liefrau milk. Do you remember that in the 80s? God, that was awful.
But look, we need to bring in industry experts. We need to bring in a housing expert to run housing. We need to bring... I mean, the most important portfolio at the moment, I think, the British people care about most is law and order.
I agree.
Who's going to get that? Lammy's been an absolute wet lettuce when it comes to law and order. You know, what is Burnham actually going to do about jury trials? What is he going to do about...
Yeah, that's very interesting. What will happen with Calamity Lammy? I completely agree. I mean, the thing is, I do have to have a little bit of fun in the mornings, because otherwise I'd have to end up just not doing it. What about Housing Secretary for Angela? Because she's quite good at the old stamp duty front, isn't she?
Look, you know, the housing is desperate. What we don't want is someone in charge that can't see beyond state-controlled council houses. We have to get building, but of course the priority has to be British people on the housing list. I have 3,800 people on a housing list in Runcorn and Helsby, and yet we're housing 600 illegal migrants. How is that possible, Jeremy?
It's possible because we're so completely and utterly devoid of putting the British people first. And I know that that's what you and your party think. Did you watch the football then last night with Mr P?
Absolutely not, but and it was very boring because, to be honest, I couldn't pick a side. You've got Argentina, who want the Falklands back, and you've got Spain, who's just opened the borders to Gibraltar. So look, what a pair that is.
That's brilliant. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, who cares either. Thank you. On a serious note, so we've disturbed your holiday. What does today mean now? Back to the beach, more rosé, and just relaxing and getting away from the madness for a couple of weeks.
I'm going to try that, absolutely.
You got no chance of me having your personal number. Bless you, Sarah. Thank you so much indeed. The brilliant Sarah Poach, and we thank you so much indeed. Run Corner Aylesby, 8:22. Morning, Phil.
Andy Burnham meets King Charles today, and he walks up, and King Charles is wearing a fox fur hat on his head. And Andy Burnham says to King Charles, Your Majesty, it's a very interesting piece of headgear you've got on. Charles says, yes, it was Camilla's idea. She asked me at breakfast this morning what my engagements were. And I told her that I was meeting Andy Burnham, who used to be the mayor of Manchester. To which Camilla replied, "Oh, Manchester? Where the fox at?"
We've had a uniparty in government for many, many years. They've cut our defences, they've opened our borders, they've emptied our prisons, they've seen law and order decline on the streets, they've gone for crazy net zero agendas. Whether we've had Conservative or Labour government, the results have been the same. We're arguing Britain is broken and needs fundamental and radical change. And we should be allowed to make that argument and let your viewers and listeners make their minds up whether they want it or not. And we should be able to do that without fearing for our lives.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 8:25. So, of course, Talk Breakfast reporting the main news of the day. Andy Burnham will accede to the most powerful job in the land. All the events this morning will be covered fortuitously by Talk. Peter Carbell, respected political journalist, it says here. He'll be in Downing Street making his pitch. Will he be standing at the top of the gantry at the bottom? We don't know, but he will bring you all the action as Andy Burnham arrives on his penny farthing to deliver his one for all and all for one speech, which will be lovely. We'll also watch from Buckingham Palace with the brilliant Samara Gill as Keir Starmer resigns. Andy Burnham then becomes the most powerful person in the United Kingdom on the basis of 24,927 people in Makerfield, who probably only voted for him to get Starmer out. Angela Rayner is in charge of health. I reckon it would make more doctors strike immediately, possibly. Liz, good morning. Burnham wants 10 years to destroy the country beyond repair. Starmer said the same. He was going to lead the country into the next two elections. That didn't end very well, did it? No, it wasn't so great. Jenny's in Bicester. I'm doing that deliberately. I know it's Bicester. It's fine, just having a laugh, you know. Jeremy, don't forget that Ed Miliband has already given 11.6 billion more in foreign aid under the disguise of overseas climate projects, so this will be another 11 billion. Labour has given so much money in foreign aid under disguise, it's a disgrace. Morning to Alison. Burnham says that he's removing the whip process so that he won't be ordering his minions to do what he says. Let's see how long that will last for. Yeah, no, that's quite... Yeah, there you go. Mix in Wallington. In the 80s, we had Maggie, Johnny Cash and Bob Hope. Now we have Burnham, no cash and no bloody hope. Warwick. I know it's Warwick. I'm just trying to wake you up. Good morning, Jez. Superb control by David Smith in keeping a straight face when giving that guff on Joe 90 and also the other cobblers he was talking about. Good to get his viewpoint, though. We must say that. Joe from Norfolk, great show, Jez. Your Labour guest saying they will review welfare for reforms. This is an excuse to delay actually cutting any welfare so they still get the votes for those on welfare. Not going to pull wool over our eyes again, though. I live in Northumberland, says Suze, and I've never heard of David Bloody Smith. I think Burnham being in politics for his whole life is a negative. Ran Manchester, he left a £1.3 billion deficit. Sorry, hold on a sec. I think when people criticise Andy, but it's going to be difficult to do, but I'll do it. Balance. I think when just watch this. I think when people criticise Andy Burnham, they're not giving enough respect to the B bus line in Manchester. Have you been on that? Have you been on that? Am I doing all right? Yeah. It's great. It's yellow. There's lots of them. It's good? OK, fair enough. Balance. Oh, yeah, we've done that. Morning, Jez. They say a new broom sweeps clean, while Burnham's eyebrows should give him a head start. Blackpool. Very rude. Morning, I'm a state pensioner who did work for 50 years and paid NI to get a pension. I can't get an NHS dentist where I live, so I haven't been for 10 years. In agony and forced to go private last week, and now have 800 quid on a credit card I can't afford to pay off. It will take me forever to pay that off with interest at 27%. I'm beyond furious that asylum seekers seem to get a better life than me. Nicola in Norfolk. Morning, Jess. It doesn't matter who the Labour leader is. Everything they are doing shows them up for what they are. I want Labour out. Ernie. You're all wrong. Andy Vermin looks like Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street. Oh, God, we're back there again. 8:30. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Richmond. Is it Claude? Claude, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Good morning, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm not too bad for a balding 61-year-old has-been. Apparently a disgraced former television presenter, according to somebody in another radio station. How are you?
I'm not too bad. What a day for changing the wallpaper of Westminster.
Are you calling Burnham just wallpaper? How disrespectful's that?
No, he's a wonderful leader. I think it's going to be a great transition, but I do think he needs to rethink about the North Sea, and I think also consistency would be very important for Britain, especially if we look at the element that I think the Home Secretary that we've previously had would be best in her position than being upgraded to Chancellor. I think we need to look at the skill sets when we look at Chancellor, and I think Ed Miliband, who is shortlisted, will be the possible candidate for Chancellor, than changing the inconsistency to not have...
Ed Miliband as Chancellor, a man who spent £800 billion screwing this country for some net zero project. I think he'd be an absolute disaster for this country, Ed Miliband.
Well, to be honest, I think we could have a new face, but it seems like the shortlist doesn't seem to be too wide and too open for new faces. So idealistically, I'm only just going by what the shortlist is at the moment politically within the news bulletins and what is being shared. However, I do think it should be a new face, but I think if they are going to consider a shortlist, then it could be Ed Miliband than moving the Home Secretary, because we need consistency, especially if Andy Burnham believes in fixing the country and bringing hope to people, which is going to be a testimony of action instead of the words that we've had for decades throughout previous leadership.
I couldn't agree more with you there. Thank you so much indeed. I'm just trying to find out about putting my light on. Oh, yeah. I have to put my light on now because I can't wear my glasses on telly and I can't see the writing. Jennifer's in the Isle of Wight. Morning, Jennifer.
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you?
Have you got a sense of humour?
Yes, I have, but I find it sadly lacking at the moment with the news.
I'll make you laugh. What's brown and steaming and comes out of cows?
We've got plenty of that on the Isle of Wight.
It's the Isle of Wight ferry. Right, crack on.
Oh, don't even start on that. Now, that is another programme that you need to be having, but you need to devote a whole programme to that, because, frankly, it's extortionate. Nobody can afford to get off or come over.
Well, we don't want you over here. We don't want you people from the Isle of Wight invading us illegally. Stay in the Isle of Wight. That's what we're saying. I'm joking. What do you want to say, my darling?
I just despair about the state of our country. I just think it almost seems to have happened since the Queen's died, actually. Everything seems to have gone to the bad since then. I just don't understand how anybody with a brain can think that Andy Burnham is actually going to make any improvements.
I have to say, I wouldn't be so rude as to ask you your age, but I'm so with you. And I don't actually mind being called old now, because it makes me I don't know. There's stuff now that is taken as read that we'd have just gone, what? A lot of things that I was brought up to believe in, which was respect, humility, decency, treating a woman, opening a door for, I don't know, just all of it's gone in this mad, mad world that just doesn't seemingly get any better. I don't know where it leads us. I mean, somebody said earlier, if this man does what he says he's going to do, they will end as toxic in the minds of the British people as the Tories have, which is opening up politics in a different way. Are you sad Keir's resigning today?
I'm not at all sad that he's resigning. I'm just very sad that adults, I mean, you're supposed to be an adult to be able to vote, and yet people in Makerfield voted for a man who brought his way into a seat. They then character destroyed another man who was a councillor who was trying to stand for change, which is what Labour keep telling us we want, but it's just not the change that we need.
Where do you think the country goes from here, Jennifer?
Down the drain very quickly, and I despair. I've got a grandson who's at university who's going to come out, probably won't get a job, the wrong colour. He's autistic. He's probably never going to get a job, and yet he's going to be saddled with £50,000 of debt. Where's the future for our grandchildren?
So love having you on, darling. Thank you. And is it sunny this morning on the Isle of Wight?
It's beautiful on the Isle of Wight, but I'm old enough to remember the 70s, Jeremy. I don't want to go back to bodies piled up on the street because everybody was on strike.
I agree. I said it earlier. We used to have a ration on bloody food. We had rations on bloody electricity. People don't know what they're asking for. Jennifer in the Isle of Wight, thank you so much. 25 to 9. Let's go to... Is that Ealing? God, I wish I could see stuff now. Grace, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very blessed, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. It's a big day today. Andy Burnham's going to be the new Prime Minister. That's exciting, isn't it?
Until we get another one, I guess. I don't feel as negatively about him as I think you do, but I don't think, in contrast to what has been said, that he's the Messiah. We have that word in our language from the Hebrew because of what Jesus did 2,000 years ago, which was quite exciting, but I don't think that any politician is actually going to be able to save us, and I think that
he might be a nice guy and well-meaning, OK? I don't mean to disrespect... I don't disrespect that. But the truth of the matter is he is hamstrung because no Labour politician has had the balls to stand up to the issues that matter. We are millions of dollars, well, billions of pounds in debt. We spend that just on interest. We will not have anybody, I suspect, in Labour who will attack the one thing that is screwing this country financially, which is the welfare benefit budget. The boats still come. We still wipe the backsides of everybody but our own. And I genuinely think, Grace, that people have just had enough. I really do.
Yeah, it's a messy combination of things, and I think that, like you say, some of the values that people were brought up with previously, including humility and respect, that we have lost those, have kind of contributed to the overall breakdown in society.
There's a sort of malaise, isn't there? And my daughter says to me, what do you mean? And I said, you'll never know. It was just different in the 70s and 80s. You know, you knew your neighbour. People didn't litter the streets or abuse people. They didn't carry knives. You were proud to serve in the... Why would you join the army in this country now? You'd be prosecuted and treated... I mean, the whole thing's terrible. But look, we have to keep the fight going. That's the point of this station, and we really appreciate your involvement. Grace and Ealing, thank you. 24 minutes to 9 o'clock. Jez, Reg from Southampton. I loved the fox hat joke from your caller. Please, can you tell any of your guests who say we want the Falklands back from Argentina? They've never owned the bloody Falklands. They've always been ours. Oh, and you haven't told us how old you are today, mate. Ian, good morning.
Morning, Jez. Ian from Firth. Looking forward to the next chapter of the Labour Party clown show. I say that with my tongue in my cheek. Any road, roll on, darts or football, so we can all start chanting Andy Burnham's a nautical vessel's handbrake. I know it's a bit clunky and needs a bit of work, but I'm sure some lyrical genius will tidy that up. Anyway, keep working, ladies and gents, and paying your taxes. We'll get through it eventually. Ta-da!
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 22 minutes to 9 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is Jeremy Kyle on Talk Breakfast. 0344. Is that a new one, Sean? Shawnee, good morning.
Morning, Jesse. Sean of Cheshire here. Mate, that joke was the funniest joke I think I've heard in years. And I too am going to go away now and wear my fox hat. That was brilliant.
Again, can we play that voice note again? Because everybody on the dullest morning of the year is actually quite excited. This was a voice note I received 20 minutes ago. Have a listen, friends, and have a laugh, for God's sake.
Andy Burnham meets King Charles today, and he walks up, and King Charles is wearing a fox fur hat on his head. And Andy Burnham says to King Charles, Your Majesty, it's a very interesting piece of headgear you've got on. Charles says, yes, it was Camilla's idea. She asked me at breakfast this morning what my engagements were. And I told her that I was meeting Andy Burnham, who used to be the mayor of Manchester. To which Camilla replied, "Oh, Manchester? Where the fox at?"
344 499 1000. We'll say a very good morning to former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards. Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well.
I want you to promise me you've got a sense of humour before I read you a text that should make anybody's morning. Have you got a sense of humour?
Well, let's see, shall we?
Can you give any truth to this rumour that seems to be doing the rounds that the first thing that he's going to do today, Andy Burnham, is going to turn Thames water into wine? Come on,
No.
Paulie, come on.
Because he's not the Messiah, is he?
No, he's just a very naughty boy. Paul,
he can't walk on water either.
No.
But he might be able to sort out Thames water, which desperately is needed. Let's face it.
Can we talk? I mean, we have a bit of fun, but you know, this is a man, and this is no criticism because the Tories did it. He's going to become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom on the basis of 25,000 people in Makerfield, which was orchestrated. Fine, that's democracy. Has he really got a mandate from the British people? I mean, look at that on the front of the Mail today. What's it say? Burnham doesn't speak for us, say most Mail poll, legitimacy crisis, voters in the South. What do you make of that?
Well, I'd say that's the Daily Mail doing what it does. But I mean, in terms of the mandate question, first of all, Andy Burnham is the most oven-ready Prime Minister we've ever had, certainly since Clem Attlee, in terms of experience. I mean, the whole shtick of him being an outsider and King of the North and all that, you know, he's been around for 30 years. I met him first in the mid-90s in Parliament. He's been an advisor, he's been an MP, he's been a cabinet minister, then he went off and ran a major city, and then he's done this incredible feat of coming back like, you know, Napoleon landing on the south coast of France and raising a grand army and marching into Westminster, unopposed by anybody. Nobody even stood against him. And now he's the Prime Minister. So he's doing something right in terms of our politics.
Do you think that unopposed... I mean, a lot of the cynics are saying, you know, legitimately, it would have been a lot better, obviously, if there was a situation whereby he'd been able to lay out what he believes in. One of the things... And listen, I'm a patriot, I hope he makes it work, but we know there are problems and we don't know whether he's got the cojones or the political capital to do it. But surely, the fact that there is now 6 weeks between him acceding to this job and facing up to our elected representatives in the House of Commons, I don't buy that at all, and I totally support what the Tories are trying to do the other day. They should go back to Parliament on Monday and he should face up to people and tell us what's going to happen, shouldn't he?
Well, the first thing he did last week, I noticed, was sit in the middle of the centre of Cardiff with a chair and sit opposite anybody who wants to come up to him and ask questions. He's about to go on a national tour, talking to folks all over the place, some of these forgotten corners of the UK. The idea, Jeremy, he's not going to be under scrutiny over the next 6 weeks. Goodness me.
But shouldn't you be under scrutiny, Paul, before you... But, Paul, surely you should be under scrutiny before you get the job.
But that's not his fault that nobody opposed him, and it's not his fault that the parliamentary timetable happened to fall as it has done. But honestly, when he is back in a few weeks' time, he'll have been grilled by the public, grilled by journalists, and he'll go into Parliament, being grilled by parliamentarians, like all our prime ministers. Everything he does and says and wears and listens to is going to be poured over for meaning and what does it say about him.
But all I'm saying is, and I'm a patriot, I hope it works, but I would have thought, I mean, I disagree with you because I think the Parliamentary Labour Party, whoever arranged it very cleverly so that they knew nobody would oppose him, but they kept it open for a week. I would have thought if you want to stand on the right footing, I'm just being honest, you accept the seals of office today, you go to Parliament later or tomorrow, you have some questions, you lay out your strategy. That would have been me getting off on the right foot. Can we talk about lots of stuff in the paper that they're talking about today? I thought one positive thing he did over the weekend was he immediately started underpicking Starmer's legacy. He ditched controversial plans for digital ID. There's a lot being said about Willie Drill. I mean, I'm going to say this to every guest, Paul. If you knock on the doors, you know this better than anybody. It's about immigration, it's about net zero and drilling, it's about the welfare bill, and it's about probably the grooming gangs inquiry and law and order. Do you think this man has either the political capital or the cojones, being serious, to do one of those five? Because here's me, and I'm not a Labour supporter, I guess. I think if he does one of those five, that's a moment where people are going to go, he is different. But Starmer tried to knock 1.6%, 5 billion off the welfare bill, and the Parliamentary Labour Party nearly threw him out. So what hope has Andy Burnham got?
Well, you made a really important point there, Jeremy, which is about political capital. He has got deep loyalty now. There's a lot of MPs now absolutely in lockstep with him. They've thrown their futures into his hands, which is why he got the level of nominations that he did. And I think if he starts to do things that show us that it's different now, the page has turned, there is a sense of change and, dare I say, hope in the air, then he will continue to have their support. He won't get these big rebellions that Starmer got because Starmer didn't have that deep root in the Labour Party.
OK, so if that deep-rooted, here's the question.
ID cards, yes, I think they will announce the opening of the oil fields.
Do you?
Yes, I think he'll tackle social care and he'll tackle the welfare bill. He'll be strong on defence. Do
you think he will cut the welfare bill at 332 billion? And I'll repeat it slowly for people listening. Keir Starmer, and I agree with you, he was not a political animal. He didn't know, I suspect, the ramifications of things. He didn't understand what makes a party work. He wasn't on the ground, was he? He was only been an MP since 2015. But you're saying that Andy Burnham knows the party well enough, the machinery, and has the political capital to what? Actually cut the welfare benefits bill? You think he put that in front of Labour MPs, pal?
Well, we know Alan Milburn's report is in his in-tray, which is all about getting the million young people doing nothing into work or training or apprenticeship.
Good.
And the second half of it is about then how do you do that? But I think that's the thing that's going to be at top of his in-tray. We'll be getting those neats, as they're described, not very neat at all, off the dole and into work or training. And I think you'll see that as an absolute priority because he's talked about the Makerfield test. You know, if it works in Makerfield, it should work for the rest of the country. If it doesn't fly in a place like Makerfield, then he shouldn't be doing it. So a common sense test, non-ideological, getting power out of Westminster and Whitehall, and good growth in every postcode.
But can I bring you back to what you just said? Because that's always, and I'm being straight, we're having a debate, that's always what worries me about the Labour Party. The minute you bring up the welfare problem, the bill, the extortionate bill that is now bigger than the tax the Exchequer gets from people going to work. No, hear me out. You talk quite rightly about 1 million young people who aren't in work. Why will the Labour Party, unless I'm missing the point and he will, accept that there are possibly a couple of million people on the dole who are neither disabled nor are they mentally ill? They are gaming the system, and the very people who deserve it, who I am more than happy to pay tax for, are missing out. Why would the Labour Party not go, this system is being gamed by lots and lots of people, and we're going to end that? I mean, this farcical thing where you can, since COVID, Tories, I'm not blaming you lot, where you can just go online and say, I've got depression, and you're off for 6 months. It should be face-to-face, shouldn't it?
I think that Andy Burnham will actually address some of that fraud and people gaming the system. And there's nothing, by the way, Joe, I mean, nothing at all Labour about a massive welfare bill. We believe in Labour. We believe in people working and paying their taxes and having the dignity of Labour. And not.
But
just
you would
taking
understand
dollars,
from my point of view, Starmer tried to do 5 million, right? 5 billion, and it got thrown out. I'm saying to you that there will be cynicism amongst the British public, who are perhaps not Labour supporters, going, well, how's this new guy going to get this? I hope he does, because I think we need stuff and we need it done. Do you believe in this man?
I mean, he's just put 5 points on Labour's opinion poll rating and wiped out the Reform majority. He hasn't even started yet. So I am hopeful. I know him well. I think he's ready for government, but he's got a plan. He knows what he wants to achieve. I think, Prime Ministers get blown off course, but he wants to pass power to the people, and he wants growth in the economy everywhere, not just in London and the South East. And that is a plan. And, the flesh on the bones has to be spelled out in the next few days and weeks. He's got a speech coming up without a podium, we're told, in Downing Street. He's going to freestyle it in Downing Street to the tune of Oasis, no doubt. But he'll
no podium. He's not going to be in a t. Is he going to be in a t-shirt? Because he said that he's not going to wear a shirt and tie unless he's in the Commons.
He's going to be I'd be a good question. I think he'll be in a shirt and tie on Downing Street on the steps going in. However, I think he is a breath of fresh air, and what he wears is a sort of bit of a reflection of the fact that he's a modern guy.
Oh God, he's going to turn up in shorts and Birkenstocks, isn't he, with a few ankle bracelets and go and see the King. But listen, on a serious note, that doesn't matter. What do you think about the David Brent analogy? Have you seen this?
I have. My son's rather enthusiastically showed it to me. My son Ollie showed it to me with great humour. I said, "Oh God, what's this?" And it is very funny. Entirely fair.
I'm going to throw it in a minute. Just final question. Any idea, any inside info, Paul, on the cabinet? I mean, I believe Miliband will be sent off as Foreign Secretary to keep him in, but keep him out.
I don't think he'll be the Chancellor, which is what some of the briefing was. I think we'll know by tea time, so it'll all be revealed. It'd be a big change, though. I think I can name 5 folks who aren't going to be in the cabinet by lunchtime. So,
go on, then. Who are the 5 people who won't be in the cabinet?
Well, I don't believe that Keir Starmer or Rachel Reeves will be in the cabinet by tea time, but maybe 1 or 2 others too.
Well, give me the other 3 then, because I can give you 3 straight away. David Lammy. Gone.
Yeah, go on. Well, it's all speculation, isn't it? But yeah, go on. And Steve Reid and Liz Kendall.
Steve Reid, my mate from Wales. What's he called? Nick Sommons, whatever.
Maybe.
Liz
maybe
Kendall.
They might find other roles. But
Liz Kendall's in trouble.
This is politics is a rough and tumble game, isn't it? And he's going to want to put people in who are talented, but also new faces. And some of and I think the other thing is he may change the machinery of government around. So he may have some new departments with new names doing different things.
There's rumour that Lisa Nandy will head up a super department to talk about devolution. Yeah. Do you imagine that the vape smoking, beer drinking, wine slopping Angela Rayner, and I'm being serious, the big rumour is she's going to be the health secretary? Jeeps.
Well, that's entirely possible. She's a very effective politician, and she was very good at communities, actually. So I think she had a lot of respect.
Not very good at paying stamp duty, but that's fair enough. So your son's page of the video, we're going to play as well. We really, and I mean this, say this all the time, it is really important, as long as I do the show, to get balance. And Paul, we really appreciate you being on. Thank you so much indeed. Before we play the video, Colin, good morning.
Andy Burnham coming into number 10. It's like characters off Shameless coming to Drunk Country. What a joke.
Brilliant. Well done. Great. Always nice to have a bit of background noise. If you didn't see it earlier, this has been made, not by us. It's extraordinary because this is David Brent from The Office. If you know that show, if you don't, where have you been? This is put up against Andy Burnham. There's some massive similarities if you're listening or watching on YouTube. Have a watch.
In Makerfield, Orrell, Winstanley, Hindley, Flatbridge,
Reading, Aldershot, Bracknell. You know, I've got a Didcot, Yateley.
I can play guitar. I can play guitar at a reasonably good level.
Oh, David, you know, you're a brilliant singer-songwriter.
I got some hot love on the hot love highway. I left the north again. I travelled south again. Was a bit of a Smith's lyric there for you. But
money don't make my world go round. I'm reaching out to a higher ground. Was that a philosopher? Desiree? The singer?
all our affiliated trade unions.
There's only 7 on the board, isn't
Yes.
there? So it's 5 out of 7.
Now,
379 of our MPs.
You don't need luck when you've got 71.4% of the population behind you.
Brilliant. I love the people that make this stuff. 0344 499 1000. In the next hour, we'll ask the question that our Piers is just asking on Good Morning Britain. We were talking about it last night, he and I. Shouldn't he call a general election? If you look at the front page of the Mail, Burnham doesn't speak for us, say voters in the south. He says, at the front of the Daily Express, say, new PM has no mandate to raise taxes again. Turmoil, says the front of the Sun. He is heralding a new front page of the Telegraph, new era of the big state. I ask this. Is it not right and proper that there should be a general election? But the reason there won't be is because the Tories were the same and people can swap parties. I've said it until I'm blue in the face. If you change party or you change leader, I think there always needs to be an election. Let's go to the phone lines. Laura Jane is in Hampshire. Morning, Laura Jane.
Morning. Everything was fine until you were interviewing your guest. I was, thinking, well, this day is going to go and we'll look back on it and laugh. And then I heard him say, your guest, that it wasn't Andy Burnham's fault that no one stood against him. Does he think we are completely naive and possibly stupid? Of course, Andy Burnham got in because he did deals in the background. I mean, I went up to Makerfield to help canvass. Actually, I met Anne Widdecombe, fellow Roman Catholic, and rest in peace, Anne. And I feel very strongly that we are not stupid. We are not naive. Of course he did deals in the background, so no one stood against him. If you watched in that union office where he sort of stood up and making his speech, before that everyone was smirking as if it was the funniest joke. And then the returning officer got up and smirked as well. I mean, the farce of it, it was embarrassing and nauseating. And for your guest to say that he got in there by mistake and it wasn't his fault, I just give up.
I mean, look, we're all patriots, Laura Jane, whatever our political persuasion, but we all want our country to be better. I'm just, whether Andy Burnham is politically experienced, whether he's got a plan or an agenda or whatever, the truth of the matter is this. This country is at a seminal moment and somebody needs to grab it and do something with it. But that will involve telling the British people, you're not going to like some of what I do and you're not going to like some of the medicine that you're going to have to take. And that is, for me, that's the most concerning thing, because we don't seem to have politicians who are OK with being unpopular, right? If you're going to be a leader, there's going to be conviction. There will be moments when you have to make decisions that people don't like. And I really don't believe that this current lot of politicians on all sides really... They're not conviction enough to care if a few people don't want them involved in politics. That's what I think. But listen, Laura, always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much indeed. And my eyes are drawn to Piers. Outrageous. Morning, Jeremy. Paul Richards saying the new cabinet will be talented. Where are they going to find them? Very true. Reg Gardner, I'm quite looking forward to Andy Burnham turning up at the White House to meet the Donald with a T-shirt on. I would imagine he will be getting his marching orders as quickly as Zelensky did. I'd forgotten that. Can you imagine if he turns up in Birkenstocks? We reckon he might turn up in Downing Street in Birkenstocks today. If Andy Vermin runs the country like his bee buses, everything will go up in flames by tea time. Not a day goes by without a bus fire or a breakdown. I don't know. The dark shadow, says Barry Fieldman, the dark shadow of communism spreading across the UK. I believe it's sadly too late. 2 world wars, 1,000 died for what? This utter disgrace of a government who we are being betrayed by our so-called leaders. It's treachery. Sue says, still laughing at the comedic caller who thinks Burnham and his cabinet are going to be successful. Derek Bridge, good morning. No, Rick in West York. I never understand. Morning, Jez. Andy Burnham should adopt the catchphrase of the old Lancastrian comedian Ken Platt when he crosses the threshold at number 10 and say, I'll not take my coat off, I'm not stopping. Preferably in a Yorkshire accent. 0344 499 1000. Your text to 87222. In the next hour, he says, we'll kick off. Carl Turner, soon to become a Labour MP again, I think, as Andy accedes to the throne. We'll do that after the news at 9, which is next.
I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much.
Pass me the sick bag. Nauseating, indulgent, rambling nonsense. Bring back Starmer, as far as I'm concerned. 3 times he said, I'm ready. Therefore, protesting too much. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. I have a plan. I suspect that in the next couple of months, we're going to discover the opposite is the case.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk. Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends, and welcome along. Just gone 9 o'clock on a momentous day across the UK. Andy Burnham will become the 7th British Prime Minister in the last 10 years when he accedes to the crown. We'll be following all the action as Keir Starmer resigns. And Andy Burnham arrives in 10 Downing Street in a car, in a suit and tie, or potentially on a penny farthing in Birkenstocks and a pair of shorts. Either way, he's going to be our next Prime Minister. All of that action we will share with you this hour. We'll speak to Peter Cardwell, who is live in Westminster. No, he's not. He's live in Downing Street. He's got through the barriers. Don't know how. He'll be there. We'll also speak to Samara Gill outside the gates of Buckingham Palace. We'll get all the action as it happens. Andy Burnham has carried out what is quite simply the greatest coup in British politics. He will become the most powerful person in the land today. Lots and lots of papers. The Express, new Prime Minister has no mandate to raise taxes. The Mail is saying Burnham doesn't speak to us as people of the South. There's no doubt his in-tray is full of burning questions, excuse the pun. Whether he's got the political capital, the cojones, the conviction to do anything about it, we will only find that out as we go on. But there is cynicism amongst you. I haven't had many people say, well, listen, we'll all wish him good luck. But as I keep saying, any politician from any political party right now in his position has to stand. Apparently he's not having a podium. We're doing it differently. Don't know how he's going to do it. He's going to moonwalk, probably, I have no idea. But any politician of any party, seriously, becoming the boss of the United Kingdom today has to, in my humble opinion, he has to talk about how he's going to stop the boats. He has to talk about how he is going to deal with a welfare budget that is overshadowing what we get in tax from people who work and is causing all sorts of problems. He needs to attack the problem of drilling in the North Sea, a natural resource, which means what were we promised by Starmer? Lower energy bills. They've gone through the damn roof. Will he be brave enough to stop net zero? Will he be brave enough to start drilling again? I don't know. There's so many things. You can talk about the grooming gang scandal. You can talk about law and order. You can talk about knife crime. Is he going to deal? I mean, they say to me about Starmer, his legacy is he was really strong for Ukraine. And yes, that's important. But right now in this country, domestically, it's important. This was earlier. Morning, Angry Rob.
Morning, Jez. Rob, on my way to work. Burnham, the man who would be king today, rocks up as the PM. The man who's got no mandate. The man who won't face a question. The man who is about as false as his eyebrows. He won't stick to nothing. The only thing he's going to do is do exactly the same as Keir Starmer, but he'll set fire to it, put a cherry on top, and then launch it off a cliff, because the bloke is an out-and-out Marxist idiot. In other news, Argentina. Never mind, you lost the World Cup, you lost the rugby, and guess what? The Falklands are still ours. Get it up, ya!
Brilliant. 9:05. You tell it how it is, Angry Rob. In other news, of course, Argentina, don't cry for... We're not. They lost the World Cup through disgusting and dirty behaviour afterwards attacking the Spanish players. Trump made it his own. You refused to leave the stage when Spain got the World Cup. But footy fans up in arms as well about the nauseating and shameless attempt by the BBC, who in the middle of the game played a 4-minute big-budget licence ad and how you can make payment. I just thought it was tawdry beyond tawdry. But listen, here's a man who knows everything. Oh, actually, sorry, before I speak to Carl... In fact, let's bring Carl Turner on. Carl, how are you, my friend?
I'm all right, Jezza. Lovely to speak to you.
You're in a caravan, man, aren't you? Look at those...
I'm in a camper van in Bonn in Germany. My 2.4-litre diesel gas guzzler, don't tell Ed Miliband about it, Jeremy, has let rip, so I need to get a new gasket fitted. That's where I am. Germany getting a gasket fitted.
Two things. Who the hell bought that blind? That's awful behind you. We need to have a chat about that.
It's very 1980s, Jeremy. It suits the 1980 camper van.
That won't go down too well with Burnham. You need to be 1970s. One thing before I play you something. Is your mobile phone on today? Are you expecting a call? Are you expecting to be asked to be in the government?
I've spoken to Andy Burnham and told him that I'm not wanting to go back into government at the moment. Thank you very much. I am happy for a period of rehabilitation, Jeremy. They kicked me out of the party. I need a bit of time to get my head together and find out what I want to do next. But I'm pleased to see Burnham as PM.
Right, we'll talk about that in a second. I think we should pay homage to a couple of people today. Keir Starmer will leave the role as British Prime Minister. In his words, he's left the country in a better state than when he got it. That's debatable. But also I think it's important to pay tribute to the worst Chancellor this country's ever had. Rachel Thieves, we're told reliably, will be kicked out today. I just wanted to play you a little clip of when Starmer first appointed her, Carl. This was a lovely moment. Here we go, peeps.
It will also be the first budget delivered by a woman ever. That is a moment of pride. When Rachel Reeves stands up, she will be making history. And I can tell you, young women and girls across the country will be watching, they will look up, and they will notice.
She did make history, but perhaps not in the right way, Carl Turner.
Well, look, I was a fan of Rachel, Jeremy, and I thought that the mistakes that were made in number 11 Downing Street were made not by Rachel Reeves, but by the leader of the party, the Prime Minister. That was what went wrong, honestly. That's my honest view. It was about the direction. When there was a conflicting opinion between cabinet ministers, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, was not there to make a decision. That was what went wrong, in my view. I thought Rachel did all right. She made some mistakes, and some of them were catastrophic, but she was not directed properly by the person in charge.
Let's talk about the man who will accede to the throne today. Any rumour, you've spoken to him, he says he's ditching the tie and shirt unless he's at question time. Are we expecting Birkenstocks and a pair of shorts as he walks up to 10 Downing Street on a sort of, you know, I don't know, one of those scooters? Are you expecting that, or are you expecting he'll look prime ministerial, dear?
I'm hoping he wears some clothing. I'm not that bothered what he's wearing as long as he's got his pair of underpants on and something to cover him up. And certainly not those running shorts he was sporting recently. Look, I mean, I think it's a serious point. I think prime ministers do have to look smart. The reality is they're representing our country. If I'm doing anything publicly in the constituency, I have a shirt and tie on. That's my upbringing, I think. I'm old-fashioned, probably. But if he wants to wear a shirt, a T-shirt and a blazer, fine, I'm not bothered. I'm caring about policy, Jeremy.
I know.
And he's got to deliver. I'll tell you now, this is a serious point. If he don't deliver for the country now, the Labour Party are out of power for decades to come. Probably never, ever again will we get the permission from the electorate to govern. So
I really agree with you. I think the Tories at the end, we know this, we've spoken enough, you and I, pal, have been and are so toxic that however well people might perceive Kemi to be doing at Prime Minister's Question Time, the brand is toxic. You're right. Now, let's talk about that cusp, because let's keep Trump out of it. But one of the big things for all sorts of people, including your constituents in Hull East, is why on earth are we as a country billions in debt, paying billions in interest on debts we can't afford to pay off, and yet we've got this resource in the North Sea? We'll know for 2 years that Ed Miliband, with his net zero policy, and even the Prime Minister said the Energy Secretary, you know, is in charge of this, has steadfastly refused, whilst we're buying oil off Norway and gas in our fields. It's ludicrous. I've talked repeatedly about political capital and about facing up to the things that people on the doorsteps of your constituency care about. And I thought there was some rumours at the weekend that he would start drilling and he might, you know, face up to this. Lucy Powell, deputy leader, overnight in every paper, has basically said, no, we'll stick to the manifesto, which is no drilling. And then, just to send my viewers and listeners, all 11 of them, over the edge, says that they plan to more than double foreign aid to a cost of 11 billion a year. Let me just put this to you, because you are always a voice of reason. That is so wrong in the eyes of hard-working men and women. I don't care about your political persuasion. If you are at a moment of complete financial instability, still giving billions to other countries under the guise of looking good, you're in trouble from the moment you start. Don't you agree with that?
Completely agree. Listen, if you're going to talk about increasing international aid in my constituency, it's going to go down like a bucket of spew. Why? Because people are working the socks off, trying to get a living, working. The month lasts an awful lot longer than the money going into the account. That's the stuff that talk to me about. If he's going to address the cost of living, he's got to do it, and he's got to mean it seriously. Now, these are the things that we have to ask about, and these are the things that we have to pressure him to do. If there's an availability of oil drilling in the North Sea, he should be doing what he needs to do to create jobs, because job creation and wealth creation means there's more money in the economy. That's what he's got to get on with. And listen, the manifesto's fine. But when the circumstances change, when the facts change, you've got to change direction. And if you're not prepared to do that, Jeremy, you'll be forced to go to the country and have an election. Now, I hope he does call a general election, and I hope he calls it soon. Why? Because if he does call it, we'll win the election, because no leader of any party, any prime minister, is ever going to go to the polls when they know they're going to lose. So he's got to do the right stuff to get the country on side, get permission to govern, and get on with governing. That's what he needs to do. And listen, this drilling in the North Sea, there is problems with that, right? Because it's decided on a global market. So the price doesn't go down, but the supply of it goes up, which effectively brings the price down. And what you can do, I'm told, is ring-fence the supply to be UK supply only. Now, it will be controlled on the global market by OPEC, fine, but the supply increases. What really matters, though, Jeremy, is the jobs it creates.
Yep.
Why are we buying it in from a North Sea reserve when we, in fact, have it ourselves? I don't agree with Trump on a lot of stuff, but it makes sense on this to me. Get jobs in the economy. That's what we need.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, the Tory party, we talked just then, Carl, about how toxic the brand is, and yet they won Aberdeen South, a recent by-election with over 50% of the vote in Scotland, the Tories, because they put a candidate in and they talked about how the ending of the oil and gas industry had decimated jobs in the local area and that their guarantee, if they were in power, would be to start that again. I'm asking whether... My question is... Listen, I'm a patriot, I want it to work. But if he starts doubling foreign aid and doesn't drill, I don't get it. I'm like you. I say it as it is. Surely somebody, or he's got the intelligence to go, I only have to do one of those four things. I mean, there's an opinion poll at the weekend that says he's already had a 5-point bounce and he's level with reform, right? Imagine if he started drilling or announced a national grooming and rape gang inquiry with judicial powers at the end. Imagine if he put the Navy in the Channel. But you'd understand people are thinking, look at the welfare benefits bill, Carl, right? Starmer. Now, I had this explained to me by Mr. Richards, the Labour advisor, last time. He said, yeah, the reason that he couldn't get, 5 billion passed as a cut was because he didn't understand the Parliamentary Labour Party. Let's just say Andy Burnham is organically Labour, right? One of you. Has he got the political capital to stand in front of the Parliamentary Labour Party and say, whether you like it or not, unless we cut the benefits bill and make the argument that there are people gaming the system, are not mentally ill, they're not disabled, we will never get back into power? Has he got the balls to do that, Carl?
Well, he has got the balls to do it, Jeremy. And the difference between him and Keir Starmer... By the way, I had a text off Keir Starmer yesterday, so I feel a bit for him at the minute. But the fact is...
What did the text say?
He just said, look, thanks for your support over the years and good luck with your future and, just niceties, bless him. I think he's sort of thinking... He's feeling a bit sad that he's got to go and he's going and he wants to be sort of friendly with people who was good to him. He knows I was. He let me down. He let the party down. But the problem with Keir Starmer...
Sorry, back at the class. Can I ask the teacher a question? Didn't give a sod about you and slagged you off via a minister despite what you'd gone through and threw you out the party, but sends you a text now, yeah?
That's the truth of it. But, I mean, look, he's trying his best. Well, the thing is, what Keir Starmer couldn't do is bring the Parliamentary Labour Party along with him, right? The benefits bill is £377 billion a year. 177 billion of that is in pensions, right? We've got to decide about triple lock. I don't want to hit pensioners. That's the decision he's got to make, and it's a difficult political one. My own advice to him would be leave it alone, frankly. But we've got to cut that benefits bill. We can't deny that it's bursting at the seams. And when you've got to find billions of pounds for defence spending, which is your only real responsibility as the Prime Minister of this country, you've got to take it from somewhere. And let me tell you this, Jeremy, people who get up in the morning and go and do a job of work are not going to be prepared to countenance the idea of more of their dosh going down the pan in taxes.
Yeah, completely. Somebody says here, JK, for the love of God, can Carl Turner be put in the cabinet? Something. The man speaks common sense, unlike the rest of them, to be perfectly honest. Do you expect to get the whip back straight away today, Carl?
Well, he's got more fish to fry than worrying about me, but he promised me, faithfully, that he'd have me back in, quote-unquote, a heartbeat. Now, I believe him, but he's got a lot on today, and I think thinking about me is not going to be the biggest thing on his plate. But I expect to be back in the party immediately, no messing around, with an apology, Jeremy, because what they did to me was utterly disgraceful.
Yeah, it was.
Not just suspending me for telling the truth about a stupid, ludicrous, David Lamid, daft policy conceived without any pitch rolling, but then the briefing and smearing, telling everybody who was prepared to listen that I was a mental case. That's what the Labour Party did to me, and they cannot be allowed to get away with it. We are supposed to be the party of equality.
Yeah.
Now, I don't go running around getting people to feel sorry for me because 8 years ago I had a nervous breakdown. I don't care. I never expected it to happen to me, but it did. I got on with it. I pulled myself up. I don't expect people to be blabbing that bloke's a mentalist because he's got the audacity to tell the Labour Party that a policy is complete and utter ludicrousy.
I don't blow a head gasket because the camper van's buggered already. Very quickly, you lovely man. Foreign Secretary, Home Secretary, Chancellor and Defence. Name your team.
I don't care that much, Jeremy. I care about policy. But let me tell you this. I'll tell you what, I would have Shabana Mahmood doing any job because you know what? She's got massive, massive rude word.
Right, yeah.
That's what she's got. She is prepared to go in and do a job, speak the truth about what needs to be done. Frothy coffee drinking, Guardian reading liberal lefties are not going to like what she says and does, but that's what we have to face if we're going to govern in the interests of everybody, not just the few. And that's the problem we're conceived with all of the time, not having the bottle to talk the truth to power. Get on with governing. It's what the country expects you to do. MPs get paid a lot of money. Cabinet ministers get paid a lot more than MPs, but the electorate don't want much from us apart from taking decisions and getting it right.
There's a program on. There's a program on. There's a program on television on Channel 4 called Handcuffed, where people of different political persuasions get handcuffed together and they spend a week. It was on Channel 4 with Jonathan Ross last year. I think you should do the celebrity one this year, and I think that they should tie you. This is genuinely true, and I think they should tie you to Angela Levin, our royal political correspondent, who's you just be. I could imagine her in your camper van and you at the Royal Palace. Have a wonderful time. Tell the Honourable Mrs. Turner that we need to change the blind. It's the worst thing I've seen since the Liverbirds kitchen. But we love you, mate. Enjoy Germany, and as ever. Thank you so much for coming on, Carl, and let us know about you get the whip back.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy. Let me just say this before I go. I tell you what, you find out when you deal with people who have got different political opinions. Actually, there's not that much difference between the two of you. We all want what's best. That's the truth. We have a different way of going about it, but we want what's best for the country. And I hope Andy Burnham can do the business for us, because if he doesn't, the Labour Party is finished.
You're a legend, mate, and I agree with absolutely everything, because at the end of the day, you can have a different way of getting to it, but if the desire is to do the same thing, that's exactly what you mean. The excellent Carl Turner on Talk Breakfast. Nigel, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Nigel from Brighton here. So I was at an event on Saturday, and in the lounge area, all the TV screens were playing out Burnham Bounce Champions News 24 channel. But what it wasn't news, it was marketing. Soft focus, dreamy-eyed pictures, like the cover of a teenage magazine. Not journalism, it was just plain advertising. So here's my prediction, and I've been making it for a few weeks. We're seeing a choreographed process playing out to get Burnham a 5-year mandate. So far, we've had no hard interviews, just a lot of left-wing commentators on the Burnham's broadcasting channel predicting the life of milk and honey under the Messiah.
I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Pass me the sick bag. Nauseating, indulgent, rambling nonsense. Bring back Starmer, as far as I'm concerned. 3 times he said, I'm ready. Therefore, protesting too much. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. I have a plan. I suspect that in the next couple of months, we're going to discover the opposite is the case.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 9:25. We're live across the United Kingdom. Talk breakfast on until 10:0344. 4991000. Your views on the day's news always welcome, as we know. Man from up north is about to become the 7th British Prime Minister in 10 years. Andy Burnham. The whole process of transitioning, that doesn't sound right at all. Andy Burnham transitions from Keir Starmer. Some rumour as to what he's going to be wearing. Anyway, we have people on the ground on this momentous day, or a man with absolutely no mandate from the British people, bar 25,000 people in Makerfield, will accede to the most powerful job in the land. Will he turn up in a suit and tie? Or will he, because he said, I'll only do that when I'm in the Commons, or will he pitch up on a penny farthing in a pair of Birkenstocks and a pair of shorts? Here's a man in the know, a man who is to politics what I am to sleeping. Peter Cardwell, good morning. Brilliant. He can't hear me. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Well, why aren't you responding then, man? I said, morning, Peter. No, we can't hear him. Oh. No. No. We'll go back to Peter in a minute, because the thing is, it's a new concept, Christian. If he opens his mouth and speaks and nobody can hear, it doesn't really work. So there's a technical issue. Larry the cat has chewed through probably the wire. Let's go to outside... This isn't going well. Let's go to outside Buckingham Palace. Samara Gill, Talks roving reporter. Please tell me you can hear me.
It's working fine. Okay.
No, we can't hear Samara as well. So that's gone really, really well. So while they work out the technical problems, I'm going to read some text messages. Great. Hello to Roger from Wales. I am in my mid-60s and I will be suffering multiple strained muscles later after doing cartwheels as soon as I see that pathetic Starmer leaving number 10. He's... are you sure about this? Right, we're going to try it. Ladies and gentlemen, shh. Ladies and gentlemen, take 2. Let's go back to Downing Street. The indomitable Peter Cardwell. Good morning, Peter Cardwell.
Good morning, Jeremy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Peter. This is a fantastic moment.
Marvellous.
How excited are you standing there today?
Oh, absolutely thrilled. This is my 4th one of these since I've been working for Talk. He's the 7th Prime Minister in a decade, and yeah, he'll be here a bit later on, and Keir Starmer will give his final remarks as Prime Minister here, then go off to Buckingham Palace. He'll formally resign, and King Charles will call Andy Burnham. They will go through a strange ceremony called kissing hands, where no hands are actually kissed, and then Andy Burnham will come back to Downing Street. He'll be given the nuclear codes. He'll write letters of last resort to the nuclear submarine captains. He'll get other further security briefings, financial briefings. Then he'll go off to the House of Commons, where he will sack various people from the cabinet, people he doesn't want in the cabinet, to avoid them walking up this street. Then he'll come back here and start appointing people like probably Shabana Mahmood as the Chancellor. So it's a big day. It's an important day, of course, and we're all looking forward to seeing what Andy Burnham has to say. We've heard a little bit about what he wants to do. He says he wants to make life a little bit easier for people in the cost of living crisis. He says he wants to give them some breathing space. He's talked as well about perhaps raising the tax threshold for the people on the who are out of taxation for about £12,500, possibly raising that. And we've heard as well about oil and gas licences too. So there's a few things that he's told us, but we still don't really know what he thinks of major issues like defence, for example, or immigration. Hasn't mentioned the word immigration once, I think, in everything I've seen and heard since he became MP for Makerfield. So it'll be very interesting if he tackles that today. Don't go anywhere, Cardwell, because you're on the spot in a minute. I've got loads of questions. Let's cross to Buckingham Palace and hope we can get 2 out of 2. Samara, come in, Samara. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear your lovely voice, JK, on this momentous day.
Is it momentous? It's just a moment. It might be tedious. You're at Buckingham Palace. I'm going to just test you on the... Have you been at one of these before? Because Peter will nod. At the end of the Mall, the opposite end to Buckingham Palace, there is, of course, Admiralty House, and there's a window, and that's where the next one sits. And there are rumours that as Keir Starmer comes through in his thingy, the other new one sits, and then he goes and resigns, and then when the car goes back... Anyway, there's 10 minutes when we have no leader. Did you know that, Samara Gill?
I know that. I also know that Russia, Iran, China know that. It's going to be an open goal, isn't it, for those 10 minutes, our country. But no, I joke and I jest. Look, the thing is... the King's going to have a very, very busy morning in those palaces behind me. He's going to accept a resignation from Starmer. Hallelujah. Many of our audience members will be thinking. And then 10 minutes later, you're right, backstabber Andy Burnham will come in and take up his position. And it's going to be busy. And I really want to know, I wish I was a fly on the wall of Buckingham Palace, just to see how different those two meetings are. The King will have to be doing a bit of diplomatic gymnastics, to be honest, to be managing all the different emotions that he's going to be occurring in merely really just an hour's, in a space of an hour. So it's going to be a very interesting one, but I think Charles is absolutely primed for it.
It's interesting, isn't it, Pete, that if you strip this down, Starmer probably is less... I mean, the King's probably quite keen for the Burnham ideology, but that's all we've got. And you touched upon something very interesting. I want to start by saying that in every newspaper this morning, I mean, there's trouble at Mill before he's even started. Lucy Pell, the Deputy Prime Minister, has said that we will stick to the manifesto. The manifesto categorically says we won't drill. That she says we'll stick to the manifesto and defend plans to double the foreign aid budget at a cost of $11 billion. And I've been asking the question all morning, whether you're new or you're old, whether you're young, whether you're poor or rich. Everybody's going to go, let me get this absolutely right. We're being screwed on a daily basis on the cost of living, about energy, about all sorts of things, and you're going to double a foreign aid bill. That is such an appallingly bad look first up, isn't it, Pete? And you were a special advisor, and again, I say every day, hasn't anybody in politics got the nous to whisper in whatever the Prime Minister's ear and go, you know, the silent majority who are hacked off about their energy bills, they don't give a damn right now about foreign aid. They care about their own lives. Listen to them, or you will be toast as well.
I think that's a very good point, and I think we're showing already through the foreign aid decision how Andy Burnham wants to do this virtue signalling, this more left-wing approach anyway to international aid and foreign affairs, this more soft power approach than his predecessor Keir Starmer had. When it comes to drilling, that would be against the manifesto, as you say. It'll be very interesting to see how much of the manifesto actually remains by the end. But of course, Keir Starmer was the one who did 17 separate U-turns. Yeah. So you can say you're going to stick to the manifesto, but similarly, Keir Starmer didn't, raising taxes on working people. That demonstrably happened. So Andy Burnham can say these things. Lucy Powell can say these things. She can also say, well, I said it before I was, as she probably will be by the end of today, Deputy Prime Minister. So she can say, well, I said that before I got the full briefing from the Treasury or got all the information in front of me. So there are always ways out of these things, and I think we'll be hearing a lot of excuses as time goes on. Andy Burnham says, judge me in 6 months, a year's time. Well, people are going to judge him very, very soon. People are judging him already before he's even become Prime Minister on what he's going to do and what he said he'll do, not least that foreign aid decision, Jeremy. And I think a lot of people will be scratching their heads this morning thinking the cost of living crisis is worse than ever. Energy bills have just gone up again. And how does this actually help me?
I mean, I agree, and I put this to Samara. You know, we were talking on this show repeatedly about if any MP from any political party knocked on any door in any constituency, I very much suspect the majority of those people would talk about 3 or 4 things: stopping the boats, dealing with a ridiculous welfare benefits bill. For the history of our country is now more than the exchequer gets intact when people work. What does that say? Doing something about net zero, all those sorts of things. My question is, and I'd love your opinion, do you think he has either the balls or the political capital to do something today? Because there's a poll out at the weekend that says the Burnham bounce has attributed to a 5-point bounce and he's level with reform. Can you imagine, Samara, if he actually stood there without a lectern, because it's very modern, and went, I'm going to start drilling tomorrow morning? I mean, that would have a profound impact, because people will go, bloody hell, he's listening. But I fear he won't or can't.
Yeah, it's actually really, really an interesting point, Jeremy. Look, I mean, he's going to be chucking out a lot of people like the Chancellor of the Exchequer. We're going to get a whole new cabinet later on today, which will be very interesting and everyone should stay tuned for. But you're right, he's actually stealing a lot of reform policies, things like nationalising steel. That's a Reform UK policy, which he's actually saying that he would like to appropriate and do. Drilling in the North Sea. These are all things that honestly everyone can welcome, or the vast majority of the public would be happy with. The problem is that he keeps dancing between playing to his party, which are a bunch of craven left-wing backbenchers that feel that they can control things, and the public who, as you said, on the doorstep have very big issues with the levels of migration, the fact that energy costs are too high, and the fact that taxes are totally out of control. So he's going to have to balance this, and everyone calls him a political people pleaser.
Yeah.
That is exactly what he will be, and unfortunately we're not in a time of great prosperity where you can keep handing out everything to everyone. We're actually in a great time of great austerity, and this hope in every postcode, growth in every postcode, hope in every heart sentiment that he pushes is going to be a lot harder to enact when he gets into number 10. But I'm going to give him, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in this. Let's see what he actually does when he steps foot into that door.
Pete, brilliant, Samara. Pete, a few quick questions for you. Have you got hope in your heart? Are you dreaming?
I'm not sure I do have hope in my heart. I've got Diet Coke in my bag. So that's something that I'm looking forward to in just a moment, first one in the morning.
It's not good for you. Somebody just described the BBC as the Burnham Broadcasting Company, which you must hold on to in news. But I want to talk about the Cabinet. I'm going to give you're a shrewd political operator, it says here. I know differently, but I'm going to pretend that that's the case. I think, and you can laugh, that he'll side place Ed Miliband to Foreign Secretary, which is seen as a promotion, but you're out the way. I think Shabana Mahmood will be Chancellor. I'm confused about the Home Office because Yvette Cooper has already been there. He makes this promise about women, and her husband's smiling on GMB, which tells me something. Wes Streeting to Defence. What about Pat McFadden? What are your thoughts, buddy?
Well, it's very hard to know where Pat McFadden goes. He could be a candidate for Chancellor as well because he could do some of the difficult stuff. But the people you'd need to look at as well are some of the less well-known people like Louise Haigh, for example, who I think is going to become Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. She'll be the one driving through what Andy Burnham wants to do. I think all of those predictions are very good ones.
Sorry, can I jump in? Is that the convicted fraudster, Louise Haigh? Yeah, the one with the police.
Indeed.
Oh, right. Just wanted to check that. I thought she might be Chief Whip.
No. Well, maybe. I mean, who knows? We'll see where things go, and nobody really knows just yet. The question, though, is the Home Office, because Shabana Mahmood is seen to have done a good job there. The sensible thing, of course, would be to leave her there to do that tough work that needs to be done. But as we've heard absolutely nothing from Andy Burnham on what he wants to do with immigration, we don't really know what he thinks of the job that Shabana Mahmood has done there. You mentioned welfare there a minute ago. Pat McFadden has tried. There have been all sorts of reports from Stephen Timms, the Minister, and others about trying to get the welfare bill down. It'll be interesting to see who Andy Burnham puts into welfare. Maybe keep Pat McFadden there, but serious change is needed. Has he got the political capital for it? Keir Starmer didn't, but of course he didn't have 379 MPs voting him in. Those 379 MPs are all going to find out very, very soon, within the next 24, 48 hours, that there aren't 379 jobs. A lot of them are going to be very annoyed. Every single reshuffle always creates enemies. It always creates animosity, always creates annoyance as well. And various people who think, you know, I voted for Andy Burnham, I give him my endorsement, and then don't get a job, maybe for the third or fourth time. Keir Starmer maybe promising them something as well. There's going to be a lot of bitter people, a lot of annoyed people, and that from basically day one is going to be a severe problem for Andy Burnham, just as it was for Keir Starmer.
Very interesting rumours this morning abounding that in Hove, Angela Rayner has been rushing around every off-licence this morning buying vapes by the bucket load and bottles of Wicked, and there are rumours, Samara, just to finish, that she could be our next Health Secretary. What a view that is, her in the boat as the Health Secretary. What fantastic.
I mean, look, the people of Britain will get what they deserve in that sort of way. Maybe she is the health secretary at this time. I mean, it's upsetting because, you know, there are rumours that Wes Streeting might be miffed out of a good job, even though he kind of put everything on the line in his view to sort of support Andy. Bless him, when he could have been Prime Minister. Well,
I think he might. I'm jumping in, but I think he might be given defence. I'm just saying it. It's just a theory.
That's actually not a bad call, I have to say. I mean, he's half competent, and that's a stretch considering the rest of the Labour front bench. So, yeah, I mean, Angela Rayner as Health Secretary, my goodness, this is shaping up to be a hell of a day, JK.
It is indeed. Samara, we'll have more from you throughout the day. Thank you, Pete. Just very quickly, you know, there are people saying it's all fallen into place for Burnham. I mean, the question time during the election was all about him. The BBC seemed fervently in his favour. Today I hear that police have decided to ban amplifiers outside Number 10 to stop that dreadful human being protesting, but they didn't do it when poor Sir Keir was resigning. Burnham's got everybody in his clutches, hasn't he?
Well, I'm delighted that has happened, which means I can hear myself think when these things occur, and hopefully that'll be extended yet further. Steve Bray is an absolute menace. He certainly shouldn't be allowed to play that music really loudly. It puts everybody off, and of course, in what other country would that happen? So well done to the Metropolitan Police. Not often I say that, and I think we'll hopefully have a bit of quiet. We'll be able to hear both what Keir Starmer says at around 11 o'clock and what Andy Burnham says a little bit later on, and we can see what direction this country's going to go in. Incidentally, on the Health Secretary front, we've had two pretty unhealthy health secretaries previously, both cigar chomping. One was Ken Clark, who liked a cigar, and Therese Coffey as well, who is a big cigar fan as well. So if Angela Rayner becomes health secretary and brings those vapes in, she won't be the first person to have done something similar.
Final question for you. It's not as hot in London town, but there are rumours that Burnham might well not be wearing a suit. Have you got the shorts and the Birkenstocks, or have you actually got trousers on today?
Actually got trousers on today. It's the first time in about 3 weeks I've worn trousers, so yes, this is a momentous day really for the country and for my wardrobe, but Andy Burnham, we're not expecting a tie. I think when he meets the King probably, but maybe he'll have a quick switcheroo in the loos in Downing Street before he comes back here. We're also hearing the podium may not be here. That will disappoint Julia Hartley-Brewer, who's a big fan of hot podium guy Toby.
No idea. Thank you very much indeed. And more from you throughout the day. Brilliant as ever. Peter Cardwell live in Downing Street for Talk. 18 minutes to 10. Still to come this hour. Trevor Cavan, a former political editor of The Sun, and Harry Redknapp on that disgraceful Argentinian performance last night. Back in 3.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 9:45. Straight to Peter, no, straight to Trevor Kavanagh, former political editor for The Sun. Just a quick idea from him on how he sees things. Morning, Trev.
Good morning, Jeremy.
A momentous day, I'm told. The 7th Prime Minister in 10 years. Andy Burnham, who might well not wear a shirt and tie, for all I know could turn up in Birkenstocks and a pair of shorts. The Labour Party sort of excited by this new beginning, but all the problems that we know about, we've talked about them incessantly on this station, are not going to go away with window dressing, are they, Trevor?
Well, I don't think they are they? And nothing that Andy has said so far indicates that he knows what he's going to do about them either. I mean, we've heard lots of rumours about, for instance, reopening the oil and gas fields in the North Sea. Well, that's already caused an almighty explosion, triggered largely by the applause from Donald Trump in the White House. That is going to go down very badly with the environmentalists who infest the party. And then we have the problem of immigration, which, as Peter has said, nobody's mentioned so far and probably won't mention today. These are the dominant things which actually affect people's lives here in Britain and the way they vote. And I think that the latest opinion poll showing that Andy Burnham is basically an unknown quantity to the majority of British voters. And the question of his legitimacy as Prime Minister is suddenly coming to the fore just as we are about to have him walk in the door as new Prime Minister.
I agree, and I think we were saying earlier, Trevor, and you'd know far more than me, but if you went to most doors in most constituencies across most parts of this land, you would discover that stopping the boats, dealing with the welfare benefits bill, net zero, drilling in the North Sea, a national grooming gang inquiry with judicial powers, law and order, all those sorts of things are so relevant. And it's interesting, isn't it, that Starmer left office and made a big thing about, you know, my legacy. On the international stage, we supported Ukraine. This country is crying out for a politician of conviction to come in and say, listen, it might not be popular and there might be a bit of medicine, sounds like Thatcher, doesn't it? But this is what we're going to have to do. Have you seen anything in Andy Burnham that thinks that he's either courageous enough and convicted enough to do that or has the political capital to strike at this moment, Trevor?
Well, put it this way, if indeed it turns out that he does have the iron and the steel needed to lead this country out of the mess his party's put it in, I think we'll all be surprised because he's shown no signs of it so far. And I think the poll showing how anonymous he remains for a large number of voters, plus the demand for a general election, which I think might actually begin to grow, especially since the astonishing thing is, Jeremy, that the moment he takes office formally today, we're just on the eve of the whole of Parliament disappearing for 6 weeks for their summer holidays. Awesome. So we're going to have no debates, no legislation, nothing done that actually puts flesh on the bones of anything he says from the lectern today, or whether there's a lectern or not, I don't know.
I'm with you, and I was very supportive of what the Tories tried to do last week. I think it is utterly disgraceful that through... It's certainly not luck, it's been engineered, but it's the most brilliant coup if you think about it, because he's going to become Prime Minister today. He's going to go and he's going to sack some people in the Commons and then come back. I don't care what he wears either. Do I believe that he has the political capital to attack these things? Yeah, I do, actually, because those 400 were so talented they've called him from the inside. They won't be changing him again, but I don't think he'll do it. Intrinsically, a Labour leader has so many different areas in which they want to try and make people popular. But yeah, listen, I personally, and I'm not being, I think the gloss will come off within 6 months, and I think the clamour for a general election and no mandates on the front of the Express, new PM has no mandate, front of the Mail, Burnham doesn't speak for us all, say voters in the South in a majority. I think today will be probably the highest point of Andy Burnham's political career, and I actually, without being cynical, see it as a downward moment from that point. Can I ask you quickly, I'm not saying you know anything, just your thoughts on the Cabinet? I think Miliband will be sent off to the Foreign Office to do whatever. What are your thoughts on Health Secretary, not Health Secretary, on Home Secretary, Chancellor and Defence, Trevor?
Well, they're good questions. The only one we really know, and it's only because Andy Burnham hasn't specifically denied the rumours that have been bubbling away now all weekend, is that Shabana Mahmood is now, I think, nailed on as the next Chancellor. I think that Miliband will have to be given some sort of plum job. But then the moment you start moving these big beasts around in the cabinet, you cause turmoil, because for every move into one place means a move out for someone else. And that puts noses out of joint. Someone's mentioned, I think Peter mentioned, that Yvette Cooper has already been Home Secretary, so that rather blocks that job off, and she's a woman, so that also adds to the issue for Burnham when you start shuffling them around. It really almost doesn't matter who's who in these things, because none of them, frankly, are trained or competent or equipped for the sort of decision-making that this country is crying out for at a moment of crisis.
Just seeing pictures of Darren Jones, old pictures of him, Secretary of State for the Prime Minister. There's big rumours that Louise Haigh, the convicted fraudster who got thrown out of the cabinet as Transport Secretary for lying about having a mobile phone stolen, will in fact head up that department. There's rumours about Lisa Nandy heading up a super department about devolution. But you're right, at the end of the day, it's mixing people around, people who, you know, have probably done you favours. That's not the issue. For me, the issue is, can he attack the very things that this country needs attacking? And I'm slightly cynical, if I'm honest.
Well, me too, and I think the biggest clue to the likeliness of what you're warning us about came this morning when Neil Kinnock was interviewed in Downing Street, the nearest, as he blustered, that he's ever got to the job, about this wonderful new Messiah that's being landed upon us. And he was so pleased that we were basically taking us back to the era of his glory days. The 1970s, taking us back to the Labour of the past. The great thing about Neil Kinnock, his favourite word was serenity. That's what he wanted to achieve in the country. He wanted serenity. Well, we're certainly not going to get it if we go back to the 1970s.
But the thing is, I'm old, but I know what the 70s were like. You know what the 70s were like. It doesn't work. You can't promise everybody everything. We are skint. We can't afford the interest on the debts we've got. I mean, Trev, the biggest debate this morning, the biggest anger from the viewers and listeners has come at the rumour that they're going to double foreign aid to 11 billion. How does that wash, on a serious note? How does it wash with people the length and breadth of this country, right, who are really struggling to be told we're going to double the amount of money we give to people in other countries? And if you say that, the left will go, oh, that's totally unfair and unfounded and unmoral and racist. No. There's people in this country really struggling, and any new Prime Minister needs to do something about that. Trevor, you're a legend. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much indeed. More from him across the week. Trevor Kavanagh, ex-political editor of The Sun. They're all gearing up outside Downing Street. Here's a man who I think should be the next mayor of London. He's a legend. Has he got a Sam Banks top on? Harry Redknapp, good morning.
Jeremy, good morning.
Where are you? On the golf
I'm on the golf course.
Oh my God! Which golf course?
I've just hit a sand wedge to about 4 foot from the pin here.
Yeah, where are you playing, me old son? Where are you playing?
Remember the Oak.
Good course, that, ladies and gentlemen. Go and play it. Loving the old green Sam Banks top. Harry, I've been waiting all weekend to say this to you. How can we play with the handbrake off and beat the world champions 6-4, and yet we don't do the same against the dirty Argentinians?
Yeah, it was a one, wasn't it? It's, you know, why did Saka play and went? Surely up there saying, well, he wasn't fit. How is he not fit to play in the semi-final? He's fit to play against France, you know, in the third and fourth playoff. It's strange. It was... I found
the whole thing I found the whole thing so disappointing, and all the rumours and the criticism of Tuchel that he doesn't seem to accept. The fact of the matter is they looked a completely different team. I'm going to throw something at you that somebody threw at me at the weekend, right? That fear of they'd rather lose playing tight than go for their lives and lose. And I don't know about you, but as a fan, I'd rather they'd have lost 4-3 and gone for it, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. You've got to go, haven't you? I mean, that's why the France game, it was shot stuff. I've never seen a defence like that in my life. But, you know, we were great. We got at it. We attacked. We played attacking football. It was a pleasure to watch. You know, they couldn't live with us. Saka, Rashford, Eze, you know, really.
And that just makes Wednesday. It just makes Wednesday even worse. I know the signal's not great. I just wanted, because you alone are a man who tells it as it is. How dirty were the Argentinians last night, mate, and throughout the whole tournament? Seriously.
Right there. The end of the game, when they were punching players, hitting players.
Oh, bless him. Listen, it's not Harry's fault. The signal's not great. I know Remedio, it's a good golf course. Just say a big thank you to him. But he agreed. I mean, if I'm not being disrespectful to anybody, they were as dirty as hell, the Argentinians, actually throughout the tournament, and certainly last night, attacking the Spanish players after things. So on a positive note, thank God Spain won. What is it? It's almost 10 o'clock. Julia Hartley-Brewer here from 10 o'clock. More, of course, from Downing Street and Buckingham Palace. We're back after this break.
Some breaking news. 8 men have been charged with rape and child sex offences as part of a grooming gang operation in South Wales. They've been charged with more than 30 offences. According to the CPS, the charges relate to 8 victims who were children.
Well, let me start by giving comment on Alison Hernandez, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Devon and Cornwall. She's a stupid, idiotic sycophant.
Anne Widdecombe was murdered, the most high-profile murder in Britain for many, many decades. She was murdered because she supported the reform agenda.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, Gillian. Just a tick. Steve, good morning.
When you think about it, it's just ridiculous, the situation with the governments at the moment. We've had 7 prime ministers in the last 10 years. That's just a joke. We must be the laughing stock of the United Kingdom. Honestly, mate, it's ridiculous, it is. Great show anyway. See you later.
Julia Hartley-Brewer's here. Are you all right?
Very, very good morning. Yeah,
Did you have a lovely holiday?
I had a lovely holiday. I went to Malta. Never been there before. Absolutely lovely. Far too many Argentinians on one of the evenings, but just saying.
Dirty
I tell you what, though. I mean,
mate.
I know there's stuff going on in London today, but what was going on in New Jersey last night? Good grief. Good grief.
Was it reported on Burnham's broadcasting channel, the BBC? Jesus.
I tell you what. Do you know what? A member of my family was stuck for 3 hours on the Bulgarian-Serbian border. Nothing to do with me voting for Brexit, by the way, like I pointed out to them. 3 hours sitting there, which meant they got to miss the whole of that half-time show and the BBC promo. Some people